Good evening from Les Arènes of Ricourt-Coron, Paris, France, for the climax of the WCT7 World Chase Tag World Championship, the biggest event in the sport. My name is Dan Dawson. Connor O'Carroll is alongside me. Tonight, we either see Hollywood Freerunners successfully defend their title, becoming only the second team in the history of this sport so to do, or a new name will be etched on the Chasers plate and into World Chase Tag history as well. Connor, you coached Marrero Gang in the first 3 years of World Championships to not only win it, but then defend it and defend it again. What does it take for a team, not just to get there once, but to successfully retain the title?
So everyone likes to come up. When you're that underdog, obviously no one's expecting you to win. Hollywood have shown that they've got through that and they have got the win under their belt. So now it's their villain era. Amos is the mastermind, and I felt this myself when I was coaching Marrero Gang. You win one, everyone's cheering for you. On that second one, not so much. People want to see you fall. So he's going to have to keep people guessing, keep them on their toes. Now, one of the things with Amos is he is open to share some of his technique. However, is it a misdirect? You have to double guess what he's sharing. Is it something that he's going to use, or is he constantly developing? I do know he does what Marrero Gang did back in the day, which is make sure the roster was really tight and make sure you've got the right players on your team before you even step onto the quad.
Well, they certainly got a heck of a lineup, and they'll be competing on the quad here at Les Arènes. 12 metres by 12 metres, full of metal and wood. That provides the setting for a series of 16 one-on-one chasers to play out in each match you'll see tonight. An evader, they stay clear of the chaser for the full 20 seconds, they score a point, but if they're tagged, they go off the quad, the chaser stays on and attempts to evade themselves. The team with the most points wins at the end of the match. 3 points for a win, none for a defeat. But if it is tied after 16 chasers, both teams get a point, and there's a bonus point on offer in a sudden death chase-off, and that could be hugely important. We have already seen that in the group stages. Now, we don't even know who is making it through to the semi-finals as yet. You'll see the semis and the final tonight, but we have the group stages to complete first, and we're going to start talking about Group B first off. You can see all the fans in Les Arènes for the climax of this tournament. But Group B, the action has seen a few surprises. Parkour 59 with the number 2 side, they were supposed to be the favourites to come through this group and dominate. Look at the table though. After 4 games played with 1 group stage game to go, it is Eugen at the top of the table. The former world finalist from way back in the day when you were coaching teams, Connor. Has that surprised you that Eugen are where they are?
Yeah, big upset to be honest. I did not have them pegged to get that far into the comp. However, not their first time getting this close to the finish line and not getting it done. So we'll see if they fumble the ball in the last couple of chases here. We've got the end of the group stage, and they have a hard competitor to go up against in Team Dexterity Depot.
Yeah, well, you can see them. They're in 3rd place. And if Dexterity were to win that game in the regulation time, that is 3 points. They'd go level on 11 points. And forget about the evasion difference for that moment, because it goes on head-to-head record first. They would move above Eugen. Parkour 59 will be taking on bottom of the table Parkour Man, who have not won a game, so they will be expected to win that and go through. But finishing top of the group puts you through, finishing second in the group also puts you through, but you would have to play top of Group A, and that could be an issue, because if we take that away, and we'll show you what went on in Group A, because it's perhaps a little bit more straightforward. It's certainly straightforward at the top of the group, because the defending champions Hollywood Freerunners have won all of their games in regulation time. They cannot be topped, they cannot be dislodged from the top of the table. We know that they are going to take the first spot, and it means that they can kind of go out there in their game tonight and with no pressure at all against Quality Movement, who are bottom of the table. They can perhaps share the load a bit, perhaps keep something in reserve for the semi-finals, which they know they've qualified for.
Yeah, there we go. We've seen Hollywood Freerunner absolutely dominate in their group stages up to now. 4 games played, 4 games outright won, no sudden death, no contest, absolutely no draws in sight. So for this, their last game in this open division, I wouldn't be surprised if Amos is going to use it more of a warm-up session than an actual competition up against Quality Movement.
Yeah, it is quite a luxury to have for Hollywood Freerunners, who did win the title here in Les Arènes a couple of of years ago after so many years of being the bridesmaids, finishing up in finals in US Nationals and World Championships and all sorts of things to those great Apex teams back then. But look at the dogfight we have for the second spot. Fata Morgana are not going to make it. Quality Movement are not going to make it. But Fakao from right here in Paris, Nimbus from America, formerly APK, and Rooftop Kings, our African team, are actually based in the Netherlands, all chance of joining Hollywood Freerunners and making it through to the semi-finals. And the key thing is, there's the trophy they're all playing for, the prestigious World Chase Tag World Championship trophy. But Fakao will play Nimbus. That is absolutely huge, Connor.
Yes, no doubt about it. What they have to do to take out the Americans here is going to be a tough battle. Because at the end of the day, if they can't get an evasion inside the game, if those 16 chasers don't come out of a win, then they're going to go to sudden death. And if that happens, Dan, Nimbus for sure have got the edge. They have won 2 out of their 3 matches in group stages so far with a sudden death win. So they've definitely got the edge there.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that would open the door. If it does go to sudden death, an outright win for Fakao or Nimbus will put them on 10 points. Rooftop Kings cannot catch them. But a sudden death win only gets you 2 points. Now, if it's Nimbus, no worries. Rooftop Kings can win their game, get to 9 points. Nimbus will still be ahead of them on head-to-head record because they beat him in sudden death. But Rooftop Kings beat Fakao in sudden death. So if Fakao only got a sudden death win and Rooftop Kings were able to win outright against Fata Morgana within the 16 chasers, they would go level on points but above them and sneak into the semi-finals. That is some way to just steal through the back door and potentially have a chance of still winning the World Championship.
Yeah, and we thought Group B would be the group of death, but this turns out to be the messy group. Group A has turned into an absolute mess, except for Hollywood, who have cleared the finish line. Everyone else is really stuck there. We've got those 3 different teams all fighting it out for who will come second in that group.
Well, look, Dexterity Depot, Roland Hannigan, Aaron Lucas there, Mike Myers, they are gearing up. They will be in action in our opening game. It's this massive game in Group B between Eugen and Dexterity Depot. Tim Dexter, the team captain there, leading them, and they have managed to avoid injury, it seems, for a rare time in major chase tag competition. Could that be decisive? From what we've seen in terms of evasions, very quickly, Connor, Dave Hogenboom of Eugen, he's leading the pack. He's got more evasions than anyone with 4. I know that might raise a few eyebrows from some people, but he has been getting the job done. He could be the Knight of Flight, the MVP for this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely been killing it for Eugen. However, I think a big part of it is having utilized Haroon early on in those matches, and Haroon making a massive difference with a really stellar tag rate, being able to shut down evasion attempts, and then Dave stepping in for the ability to then get that evasion. So for me, it will really ride on whether or not Haroon is coming into this uninjured. I know Dexterity have looked after their players throughout this group stages so far, but Haroon, I don't know if that ankle is getting much better. It was a little bit of a bang in one of his matches earlier on yesterday, so let's see how that's getting on. I think that will be the game changer for them. Injury or non-injury will make us tell who's going to come out on top.
Well, you can see the teams are ready, the fans are ready. We are all ready here at Les Arènes for the climax of the WCT7 World Chase Tag World Championship. It is about to get going in France.
Of the world, it is a Hollywood story. So many times denied in major tournaments, they now get their hands on the biggest prize in the sport, and the addition of Kai Baldwin has proven to be decisive, Joe. There is the trophy about to be presented to Hollywood Freerunners for the first time in their history. They can call themselves World Chase Tag World Champions. Hollywood Freerunners are the best in the business, the best on the planet.
It almost feels like now everyone has a target on our back, Not as many people, I'm sure, are rooting for us, but the ones that are sticking with us, thank you.
I think they are the strongest they have ever been. They've slowly learned to not rely on Kyle as much, and I think this is the most well-rounded their team has been, which is a scary thing to think of.
But I think this year there will be a lot of changes.
Thank you for coming to this event. Thank you for putting your body on the line. And then, yeah, belt to ass!
Nailing. It is looking good. He's got miles and miles and miles of weight, and he's got that convincingly. And he goes over the distance to the tilted cube. He's on it! He's on it! Hollywood Freerunners win the World Championship here in France.
Ça parle beaucoup, ça s'agite beaucoup, mais je crois qu'ils n'ont pas compris en fait. Ici, c'est chez nous. Ici, c'est pas.
Fuck off, 59 unbeaten. Tragic for the French fans. These guys have the abilities to compete with the best, but they haven't had the opportunities. But finally they are here from China, looking to show us what they can do.
I think that we'll make it to the finals. I think we have a serious shot as long as we maintain confidence.
Only 4 chases remain before potential sudden death.
We've helped loads of teams develop because we like that part of the sport. But when you come to competition, no one's really your friend.
Eugen are beaten. Look at that man's face as he sinks to the floor. Absolute deserved round over here.
You're looking at the new GOAT, okay? This is the LeBron James of chase tag.
Listen to the crowd. It was the biggest matchup of the tournament. They said it was the match of the year, but Parkour 59 have won it. It is heroic. It is improbable. It looked impossible.
It is time. A big crowd in the biggest tournament in World Chase Tag, and some huge clashes coming up to complete the group stage and determine who has a chance to go on and claim the most prestigious title in the sport. Eugen, the old stages, the team split between the Netherlands and the UK, really have put themselves in a brilliant position, but it is not an impregnable one. They may sit top of Group B, but they could be dislodged. And as you can see, Haroon Hanafi, who has been a key member of their team so far this weekend, does not look like he is in full kit ready to play. But they take on Dexterity Depot, who have their full roster available. The US National Finals runners-up beat the US champions Knicks in the group stage, and they've given themselves a chance of reaching the semi-finals. But to do that, they must beat Eugen, and they must beat them within the regulation 16 chases. A sudden death win is not enough. What a way to start the night, Connor.
Yeah, fantastic from both teams so far in the group stages. They've had their rest. All of the 4 matches that both played yesterday obviously took their toll on their bodies. They made sure they went home, got the hotel, got that relaxed, and then got back in after recovering. We see now the last remaining UK team in Team Eugen, the last remaining competitive, active UK team, that is, versus one of the best American teams from the United States. And it is Roland Hannigan that is getting the first evasion opportunity now for Dexterity Depot, with team captain Richard Thompson on the chase plate for Team Eugen.
Now, Roland Hannigan, we know his qualities. He really did open a lot of people's eyes when we first saw him competing in World Chase Tag. He's already threatening to hit the griddy, but perhaps he hasn't ignited in the way we had hoped so far in this tournament. If he does it tonight, maybe Dexterity can have their greatest ever World Championship campaign. You can sense the tension. Richard Thompson like a coiled spring on the chaser's plate as we await the opening buzzer.
The nerves on these players, Dan, it must be nerve-wracking to be stood there. I've been on the quad myself, and just that moment before the buzzer, you don't know when it's going to come. To be clear, in World Chase Tag, we're going to hear athletes ready, and then there is a break before the buzzer. That break changes. It's not always the same buzzing time between. 10-second warning has gone down. There will be an athletes ready, and then that buzzer is going to kick us all off.
The anticipation for a big night of chase tag, and Richard Thompson hoping for a big performance and a huge one for Eugen. Roland Halligan onto the sisters, turns around in open ground, but Richard Thompson is there, and look at that, the celebration right in his face.
I've said it before, Dan, I'll say it again. Richard is only getting better as a World Chess Tag player, and to show that he can play with the likes of them as Roland Hannigan and just be able to get him in that 10-second, sub 10-second tag, is an amazing display of his ability improvement.
Tim Dexter, dexterity captain. He's captain versus captain in chase 2 of this crucial Group B clash. A reminder, dexterity must win it within the regulation. Otherwise, they will not be progressing any further. Dexter up on the platform. Richard Thompson going one way, then the other, and he's off around the ridge, and Tim Dexter has to try and cut him off in the mountain, but he's turned back, and this might do it. This might do it for Richard Thompson. There's no time for another move, and Tim Dexter slams the platform in frustration because Richard Thompson's put Eugen in front.
And the disparage on Tim Dexter's face as he walks off the quad there tells you everything you need to know. Well done, Richard, on securing that first evasion. Fantastic work. It looked like he got it based on his acceleration ability just there by the side of the ridge.
Alex Mosley into the action for the first time tonight. Hopping up, threatening to get on top of the ridge. Richard Thompson tries to shimmy out the way, but Alex Mosley was not being denied there.
Yeah, so here's a threaded tag down. We're seeing Alex get inside the loading bay, put in some pressure against Richard until he has to step back. Once he's cornered, he can't really go left or right because Alex can jump through those bars for a threaded dive tag, or he can jump up to the mountain. And this is where the pressure has caused Richard to make that mistake and Alex secure the tag.
Athletes ready!
Well, Alex Mosley has made some crucial tags, including the sudden death victory over their rivals Knicks from America, but we've not seen him evade as yet in this tournament. Dave Hogenbomen is the man after him, and Alex is waiting by the sisters, and he's managed to squeeze away there. Now under the ridge, into open ground, Dave Hogenbomen trying to close him down, drops off the sisters, dives through the tilted cube, and he gets there. Alex Mosley seems to have played it perfectly until the final few milliseconds.
Yeah, and great choice here by Dave. I would have probably tailed Alex at that point. I would have gone round the outside of the tilted cube, and that would have been my downfall. Dave managing to spot the direction change here. Already his head is on the tilted cube for that massive Viper. So he's sliding his belly across and then getting that tag on the outside of the tilted cube.
Paul Fisher into the action. Dave Hogenbomen, the leading evader in this tournament. 4 points he's put on the board for Eugen already. Could he add to that here? No, he will not. Paul Fisher all over him.
It's a flying tag there between the sisters. Paul taking the tag. First time in this session that he is on the quad. He now has an opportunity to reset. He's got a quick tag, which is good, but he is also up against a nice fresh player in Sam Van Ryn for Team Eugen. Let's see what happens when these two giants attack each other.
Athletes ready!
Well, a bit of a false start. Yeah, he did have his foot on the quad, so I think we are going to run it again. We're going to have to now. Sam Van Ryn from Alphen aan den Rijn in the Netherlands, which is a bit like being called, I don't know, Gary Doncaster from Doncaster.
And the false start, Dan, this is going to benefit which player?
It's going to benefit the evader. Got extra time to recover Paul Fisher after making that tag against Dave Hogenbomen. And he starts by the ridge, Paul, then goes across the quad and heads off to the tilted cube. Sam Van Ryn just hopping up onto the tilted cube there. Paul losing his footing and ultimately was unable to get away. And you can see the frustration from these dexterity players. They are desperate. They need to win this within the 16 chasers. They've had a lot of tight games this weekend, but they need to find a couple of evasions minimum from here.
Yeah, they're seeing that aggression, that intensity from the American players, and the nonchalance that's coming in from Eugen. Sort of brushing stuff off as they go, but they are in a comfortable position with 1 point on the board.
Sam straddling the sisters. We've seen him do that a number of times here this weekend. Sam Van Ryn now goes round the sisters using those outside bars. Alex Mosley, I thought he might have got the snipe tag just before then, but he made sure of it after the ridge.
Yeah, double tag, locking it in just to make sure he's got him around the edge of that ridge. The snipe tag was actually quite choice here, just as he gets that hand, but then Sam's already slowed down. He's like, yep, sweep, no worries, you got me there. Alex now in the hot seat with the evasion ability, and Dave stepping up onto that chaser plate.
Athletes ready!
Eugen going to Dave Hogenbohm once again with Alex Mosley on as evader. They did that earlier on and it worked. Could it work again? It was a heck of a chase earlier on. Are we going to see another one? Alex Mosley gets around the side of the sisters. Dave Hogenbohm just didn't choose, my word, jumping around the ridge. Well, the tag was given. Did his foot go out of play there?
Looks like he's in a real sticky situation there. Talking to sticky, we got Gorilla Glue as a sponsor down. I better mention that at some point, huh? I'd say Alex made more of a fumble there than Dave managed to get a good tag. There was a couple of good tag opportunities, and Dave just couldn't quite make it happen at the tilted cube or at the front line, and Alex has made the mistake to give away that tag.
Into the second half of this match. Dexterity Depot are going to have to pull this one out the fire. They're asking Roland Hannigan to do it, and he's going to track down Dave Hogenbohm there. Dave not going to add to his tally of evasions so far this weekend.
That boy is a heat-seeking missile. Coming down off the sisters, nice speed there to be able to secure the tag by the back of the tilted cube. But as we know in World Chase Tag, it's not about the tags. We need to start making moves on evasions because we are over halfway in this 16 chase game.
Athletes ready!
Richard Thompson looking to preserve Eugen's lead. Roland Hannigan hops up to the top of the mountain from inside it, and there we see that trademark pace from him. Gets up by the Laser Boy, swings around it and open ground. Richard Thompson heading towards the ridge. Can he find a way through it? Doesn't need to. And it's a race around the outside. He rolls under the mountain, and Richard Thompson, he just kept there and kept there. There's only a couple of seconds left on that chase.
Right to the wire. I thought Roland would get away with that for a second. Close tag at the beginning here, but he's managed to skip round, and then there's the dive roll attempt. I think it'd been better off with a speed step through the bars, but making it almost go the distance there. 18 seconds. Dexterity are really starting to build up that momentum and get closer to an evasion.
Time is running out for Dexterity. Paul Fisher has to get hold of Richard Thompson here. Tries to get up onto the top of the tilted cube. Never fully there, but he does manage to grab him under the mountain. And Paul Fisher stays on, looking to level up this game for Dexterity.
Yeah, I think he'd already sort of flushed him out of that obstacle. He'd got onto the tilted cube's edge bars there. That little mount, we call it a tiger, puts him in a position where he can force Richard away from the tilted cube, and then he can get down to the ground to track him under the mountain and secure the tag at a later date.
1-0, Athletes ready!
Can Dexterity turn this around? Paul Fisher, just the one evasion so far in this tournament. He is desperate to add to it right here. Sam Van Ryn is on his tail, but not close enough to force a chance there. Paul Fisher comes out the mountain early and round by the ridge. He's built up a little bit of space. We're 13 seconds in. He's going to go... No, he doesn't go over the sisters.
That would have been a great change of direction. You know why? Because it surprised you, Dan, and you're not even chasing him. So if the evader is getting a little bit of a surprise from a commentary who gets to see the whole quad all in its entirety, then you can imagine the surprise on Sam Van Ryn's face. The adaptation, though, by Sam was really good to be able to cut that down, get the tag, secure it, and put himself in the hot seat for another evasion opportunity for Eugen.
This is not match point, but it kind of feels pretty close. Alex Mosley must get the tag, and Dexterity have got to put points on the board. Sam Van Ryn, can he close this out? Oh, my word. Yes, he just got in with a fingertip by the sisters as Sam tried to bounce off one and go back the other way.
To be fair, I know we've got one evasion up on the board, and Eugen are thanking themselves for getting that there, because at the moment it has just been defense, defense, defense from Eugen. They can't seem to get anything else moving. Sam Van Ryn here getting caught out just with that reach and the finger before he turned back.
Well, this is it for Alex Mosley. It is a match point, but unless Dexterity can get an evasion here, the best they can do is take it to sudden death, and that's not going to be enough. They need to win it in regulation, and that isn't going to happen because Dave Hogenbohm makes the tag, and Dexterity Depot's hopes of making it out of this group are crashing and burning.
That is it. We've got evasion winning the match now for Dave. Can he finish with a nice little flare just to put the icing on the cake, Dan.
To win the match and be top of the group, and for Dave Hogenbohm to go 2 clear in the race to be Knight of Flight. Sets off through the mountain, Tim Dexter scrambling through. He decides to cut down the corner. Dave Hogenbohm hanging off the lazy boy and goes off again over the sisters. Tim Dexter going down low, he swipes, and I'm not sure he made contact. Dave Hogenbohm back to the lazy boy at the front line. The arms are up for Dave Hogenbohm. They're up for the refs, and Eugen win, and they top the group. What a result, what a performance, and what a campaign Dave Hogenbohm is having, Connor.
Fantastic work. Eugen here absolutely smashing it, beating everyone's expectations. And you might have noticed, Dan, we didn't even use a full roster. Eugen are coming in with Richard, Dave, Sam. Haven't seen Dane once, haven't seen Haroon play today. Let's see what they're going to do. Obviously, they are already cut down from a couple of players, having been shortchanged a transfer from Parkour 59. We'll get to that later. And Orlando DeVoe, unfortunately, stepping out due to an injury before the Worlds. So they're already down to a limited roster, and even more limited with who they played with today to secure that win against the weapons that are Dexterity Depot.
Ravaged by age, ravaged by injuries, ravaged by time, but Eugen, the UK team, refused to bow down. They will be progressing to the semi-finals. They still have a chance of claiming a first major title in World Chase Tag. But now we will turn our attention, as you can see on the screen, to Group A, and this is one with the defending champions Hollywood Freerunners against Quality Movement of Sweden. It is a game with nothing on it effectively. Quality Movement obviously want to inflict a blow on the defending champs, but they cannot stop them finishing top of the group.
Yeah, like I said, Dan, I think we'll see a little bit more of the continuums that Amos is developing as the mastermind. Amos himself has been working on a few different things, but Quality still having a fun time here today by the looks of it. We've got players being carried in. We've even got the return of Victor Anderson. I didn't see him yesterday, Dan. You know where he was?
He was at a wedding, his best mate's wedding in Finland, we are told, so he missed the entire first day of the tournament, and ultimately that didn't help out Quality Movement. But here come the defending champs. It'll be interesting to see how they approach this game. 4 wins out of 4, all in regulation time. Will we see a little bit more of Grant Kinningham, their new recruit? Will we see more of Amos Rendau? Because even though they have won all their games, Connor, they have been put through the ringer a bit, and Kai Baldwin in particular, last World Championships Night of Flight, has been banged up and battered and bruised in the pursuit of that top spot in the group.
Yeah, a couple of slams there we saw yesterday. Kai smashing his ribs, and then a different instance falling off the mountain, landing flat on his back. A couple of minor bangs coming in from Kyle Soderman and also Gabe Torres. So the smart move today is to use the newer recruit to see what Grant can do, to let him stretch his legs, get a little bit of quad time under his belt, and also for Amos to get on the quad finally. Because we didn't even see him turn up in yesterday's session. Amos didn't get on that quad one time.
Athletes ready!
Well, it is going to be the new recruit, Grant, who is given the honour of leading off for Hollywood Freerunners. Charlie Murray for the Swedes, chasing after him and jumps up and does get the tag. I thought he had. So it's a quick one too.
Tag made. Even with this type of match, you can see Grant is not that happy with the result. I feel like he could have got away a little bit quicker, and I think he feels like that too. He's got his head hanging in shame. Charlie stepping up to the sisters, and Amos finally on the chaser plate.
Amos Rendau finally graces us with his magnificent presence. Do not think this man is just about strategy. He is an athlete, and he wants to show it here, and he's chasing down Charlie Murray, tries to cut him off using the sisters. That's exactly what he's done. Talk us through the decision-making from Amos there.
Well, you see, he's not just running at full speed. There's a couple of points where he is pausing, and we've got a cheerleader on the screen in Amos's girlfriend, Erin, and Franco. Very good. A little bit of crowd support here in Paris for the Americans. Amos is not all about strategy. He is also a very athletic individual.
Athletes ready!
Victor Anderson, welcome. I hope the wedding was good and the reception was not too heavy, because you're going to have to chase Amos Rendau around this quad right now. And he has done that pretty well. Amos like a rag doll over the sisters there, getting tagged relatively quickly.
Yeah, needed to mount the sisters. Amos getting a little bit caught up with that sisters mount or scramble underneath. You got to choose one or the other, else you get caught just in the middle there. But Victor Anderson, having secured the tag, is able to get to a strong starting position here, just behind the ridge, allowing him to fall back into the loading bay or the mountain if he chooses.
It's Grant Kinningham again. I do wonder whether this Hollywood team might just cycle between Grant and Amos as much as possible for this one, as Grant gets it done very quickly against Victor Anderson.
That might be the move, to be fair. That might be the move. I'd still say you want some players under the lights, and I'd like to see how they're moving. Obviously, they've done their own warm-up outside of the quad, ready for this event, and then they're going to have a break in between now and being able to go through to those semi-finals. So maybe there's more warm-ups ready for the rest of the athletes.
Well, in comes Leon Brandt. He's been a leading light for quality movement, managed to get a couple of tags, or a couple of evasions already, including one spectacular one. But can he tag Grant Kinningham, who's looking to get a point on the board for his new team? And look how easily he just moved from ground to the top of the mountain. And he's off again at speed. Is he going to do it again? Not this time. Goes down to the ground, and Grant Kinningham has his first evasion at a World Chase Tag World Championship. And he looks like he fits right into this team, Connor.
Hunting those player stats. Grant getting a nice evasion here against Leon. Leon not slow, making sure he's chasing him the whole way around, but Grant even faster, and especially on these high bars, being able to stride them like they're nothing.
Charlie Murray comes in. Can Grant Kinningham go back to back? He sets off. Decides not to use the mountain this time. Tries to go back to the ridge, but Charlie Murray makes a dive and gets the tag.
Charlie happy to close it down, getting that dive tag threaded through the bars, being able to get Grant just on the way out of the loading bay here. So he's entered the loading bay for that opportunity, pushing him back out, and then there's the opening, being able to get Grant just before he runs off to get that next lap that he was intending to do.
Well, it isn't just going to be an Amos and Grant cycle, because here comes Gabe Torres. The man in the hat. One of the roster of superstars in this Hollywood team. Staying up high and then striking on the front line. So controlled.
Yeah, what you got to see is every time they are mounting, this is the Hollywood players, they're going to mount an obstacle. They're going to pause for a second. It's not about just flushing you out. It's about flushing you from the obstacle, seeing where you go, then making their act. And then not wasting any time with that. Once they see where you're going, then the acceleration comes. It's all about pacing your opponent and fighting their rhythm against yours.
Well, here's Victor Nicamo. He's the other player in this quality movement team to score an evasion here this weekend. Had a decent tournament, even though it's one to forget in terms of the results for quality. But can he get hold of Gabe Torres here? Tries to come through the tilted cube, and he keeps on that speed, but he can't get him. And Gabe Torres is away, and Gabe Torres slips, and it does not matter. And the time is running out, and he waits, and the lights go green, and Gabe Torres doubles Hollywood's lead.
Great internal clock there by Gabe Torres, being able to hold out just at the lazy boy, not worried about getting any more running in, because he knows I've got about 4 seconds. If I can just stall here, create a little duel situation where he's not sure if I should go left or right, that blockage of the lazy boy is going to block enough to get the clock to go down to 0. 20 seconds gives him an evasion.
Brandon Sandon, a man Australian born but lived in Sweden pretty much his whole life, playing in Shades. So Shades tags hat in the Battle of the Accessories.
Shades on the quad. Extra points if he evades now, huh, Dan?
I know, I'd have to consult the rule book with that one.
10 seconds.
Amos ready to go on the chaser play once more.
Athletes ready.
Well, Brandon Sandon is like a cat on a hot tin roof waiting for Amos to come after him. And Amos jumps up and makes the tag and rolls out of the quad.
And there it is, a big cheer from the crowd. Get to see the Ukemi master flex his skills and develop that art of falling. Amos for years developing different stratagems for parkour, able to fall from different situations and adapt like a cat being thrown from that tin roof you mentioned and be able to land on all fours or at least roll out without any injuries. Ooh, and it looks like the ref wasn't happy with the tag. We have got a dangerous play being discussed, and a yellow card is given to Brandon Sanderson. Sorry,
nice
to Amos Rendao for the tag.
Well, it's the second time that's happened in this tournament, but I'm not really sure what the chaser is supposed to do. If the guy is on the top of the mountain, you can't just go, oh, well, I'm not going to try and tag him. It didn't seem like it was excess force.
10 seconds.
If we are up in the air there, I think it is on the tagger to try and get some contact. He needs to touch him. It makes sense to get that. I'm not sure what the ref's calling here.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but it does not matter ultimately, unless he gets another yellow card. But Amos Rendao hopping around the mountain. Lovely foot placement using those platforms and those bars, and he's going to go up high again, but this time he drops into the centre of the mountain. Victor Anderson trying to get him, and he's like a giant trying to swat a little tiny chicken running around his legs. And he cannot do it, and Amos Rendao picks up an evasion. It is 3-0.
And this takes us to 3-0, which is expected in this matchup against Quality Movement. But what might not be as expected is Amos Rendao has already won 2 World Championships. This individual not always playing for Hollywood Freerunners, but already being a World Champion twice. He is hoping to get that three-peat and take Hollywood the distance today in this tournament.
Yeah, he took the great Apex team to the World Championship. He helped make Hollywood world champions. He is not going to wrap up this victory just yet, but it remains 3-0. And Quality Movement must now put 3 evasions in a row together. And they're going to have to do it with Carson Palmer fit, fresh, and firing on the chaser's plate.
10 seconds.
Good luck with that. Let's go, Charlie. Bring out the big guns. Let's get it.
Quality Movement are about to exit this year's World Championship. Can they exit it with a little flourish? No, they cannot, because Carson Palmer has managed to do that in about 2.5 seconds in the end.
Fantastic spike there by Carson. Easy work, getting the tag. They've knocked out Quality Movement, and they have not even secured their place in the final. They were always going to move through to the semi-finals of this stage. They were so dominant in this group stage, Dan. I don't know who has any answers for them. We will see if the great Hollywood Freerunners have any opposition as we move into that semi-final round later on.
5 wins out of 5. Only 1 evasion given away. That was against Fakor, and 9 evasions scored. And that final one there has sealed a 3-0 win. They top the group, as we knew they were going to at the start of the night. They are our first team through from Group A. The question now is, as it always was, is who's going to join them from Group A. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at Group B, because coming up, this is a big one. We know that Eugen are going through, but can Parkour 59 show us a little bit more than they've shown us already? It's been a real mix from the French national champions, who are making their way to the quad here in rather somber manner, it would appear.
We seem to have a Colt on our hands, Dan. This is some Squid Game stuff. What is going on here? 1, 2. There's 8 of them.
Well, that's too many for a start.
Damn, they're good spectacle, though.
And they're not actually Parkour 59, are they? Because they've just emerged from the crowd. There we go. That all makes sense now. Naeem Street leading his team from the fans, of which there are many of Parkour 59. They have probably been the best supported team we have had here this weekend. However, Connor, have they quite lived up to the billing as yet?
Definitely nice to give the fans a moment. Obviously, those people who got to walk out, they get to now watch their favorite team play. But I would love to see their favorite team actually pull out of the bag. I want to see a little bit more from Gavin. I want to see a little bit more from Arsene. But before we do, we have all the way from China, the 3-time Chinese champions, Parkour Man, walking into the stadium now.
Well, Parkour Man, the multiple national champions of China, playing in their 2nd World Championship. The first one went very well. They surprised a lot of people with their skill and their commitment, and they did go and reach the quarterfinals. However, this year, it has not gone so well. Beaten in every single game. 2-1 by the Crow, 3-1 by Dexterity Depot, 4-1 by Eugen, and Nick saw them off 2-0. It would be a huge surprise if they did put a dent in Parkour 59's record here. Ultimately, it won't matter in terms of the destination of the group. We know Parkour 59 are going to go through now in 2nd place because of that Eugen victory. And with Hollywood Freerunners up top, it means that the semi-final is going to be between the top 2 in the world. Hollywood Freerunners and Parkour 59. So they will want to go through, Connor, by putting on a show here, won't they? Or do you think that they will hold back a bit like Hollywood, not show their whole hand?
If I was them, I would just skirt on by, get that first evasion on the board, and then throw some flips on the quad. I want to make sure I'm fresh and ready to go up against their hardest battle yet in Hollywood Freerunners for the semi-final.
Well, Tom Fair makes light work of that one. Low gun sent out first for Parkour Man and tagged in just a few seconds. It's fair to say with this Parkour 59 team, their experienced players, Hugo and Naeem, have not really performed as well as the young kids, particularly Arsene Cooper and Gabin Pariel, the 2 16-year-olds, and Vali Sultani as well. But Tom Fair has played his part, and he's got a chance here to put Parkour 59 into the lead. Going to have to get out the way of Tong Ki. Tom goes under the mountain, then through the mountain. The dive comes in. There was no tag made according to our referees. Tom hanging around, has a look for his man. Wants to go round the sisters, and he wasn't quick enough because Tong Ki makes the tag.
If at first you do not succeed, try again. Tong Ki getting it there by the sisters after missing on that belly slide. Hard when you dive for a whole belly slide, Dan, because you're going to have to get up off the floor, regain those feet, and then regain composure before you re-engage with your opponent. But there he is, getting it done. Tom probably not wanting to hang around too long in that sisters spot.
Naeem into the action. We did not see that much of him, truth be told, in the opening day of the tournament. Is it tonight where the captain, in what could be his final ever chase tag championship, steps up to the plate and wins a world title for his team? He's made the tag there.
And a favourite place to secure the tag by Naeem, managing to get that down by Tong Ki, down by the ridge. Very aggressive play, being able to descend from the sky to get the tag, but let's see what he does with the evasion. We saw a little bit of stumbles from Naeem yesterday, falling in an over quad. Let's see if he's got his feet underneath him today and he's secure for this evasion attempt.
Well, starting off with a real sprint between the pair of them, but Naeem Street goes high onto the mountain. Fang Bin goes after him, and he's just trying to work an opportunity, Fang Bin. There's an open ground juke from Naeem Street, and he can't get away, and Fang Bin makes the tag, 0-0 after 4 chases.
So it can happen for Parkour Man. Obviously, they do not, unfortunately, have a chance to get through to the tournament, but they still have their world ranking to contend with. Parkour Man are currently sitting at 7th in the world, and we want to make sure they stay in that top 10 position to maintain their rep in China.
Athletes ready!
Hugo Boczynski, former Baron of Bolt, top performer at a national championship. Up high and up even higher there. Fang Bin thinks about the mountain, does not get there. Tag claimed, tag given by our refs. We're still going on with the chase. So Hugo is still got Fang Bin in his sights, and he's going to have another crack at him there. And the lights have gone green, but I think a tag has been made at least once. Now they've gone red, so whether it was at the start or the end, we do not know.
Looks like the refs gave it twice. Tag secured twice. Hugo's absolutely certain. To be fair, that looked pretty clear-cut to me, Dan.
It seems pretty clear-cut. But Hugo did get the tag eventually. Had to do a bit more running than he would have liked after that. Now it's Lee Yi Ki into the action for Parkour Man. Backs out of getting up on the ridge. Hugo was very close to him there, but manages to scramble away. Down by the ridge, doing a little ridge dance. And he gets away to the loading bay. It's back under the ridge again and into open ground where those big long legs just eat up the ground. And he circles round the loading bay and over to the ridge. And Hugo Boczynski picks up the evasion to put Parkour 59 into the lead.
Did not have an answer there. Lee Yi Ki not managing to keep up on the front line. Really good ridge game from Lee Yi Ki. I was actually surprised to see him get through that ridge a few times, both above and below, but he didn't have an answer to Hugo's speed there on the front line, and that change of direction just cut him up right at the end.
Number 2 into the action is Logang again, the man who led off for Parkour Man. He's in very close attention to Hugo Boczynski, who kept looking down, and there keeps being swipes, and they keep missing by a tiny amount, but that one makes contact.
Yeah, that'll catch it. Straight through the bars. Nice little dive tag and managing to secure that on Hugo. Great work there. And we're setting up for Lugang having the opportunity for an evasion. They have been down points before, Dan, and we cannot count Parkour Man out, especially when Lugang is in the hot seat, because he can run away with a nice little evasion streak. We've seen it before. Let's see if it's going to happen again.
Parkour Man playing for pride, playing to represent their country in the biggest world chase tag event in the world. But Arsene Coupan, one of the two 16-year-olds on this team, he is like lightning.
And I don't know if the pressure is just getting to Parkour Man. Lugang getting sent off there, and Arsene is setting up. We saw some fantastic chases from Arsene yesterday. Definitely one of the star players for this team, and also one of the younger players on Parkour 59.
1-0, Parkour 59. Athletes ready!
Naeem Street looking on, one of his young proteges, Arsene Coupan and Gabin Paril. Two 16-year-olds, both with 3 evasions each. Can Arsene move to 4 as the outright leader in this team? Round by the open ground, makes his way away, and look at the pace he's got. He jumps up to the mountain, no problem at all, into the tilted cube and under the sisters. He's good up high, he's good down low, and he's so very quick, and it is a 4th evasion of the tournament for the 16-year-old Arsene Coupan.
You can't blame Tanky here, absolutely. Arsene has all of the moves. He can do the high lines, and his scramble there underneath the sisters just gave him such an advantage, being able to get under the sisters like he knows them like the back of his hand.
Athletes ready!
This is the benefit of the academies, the youngsters playing on quads from very young ages. They know how to use this space, they know how to use these obstacles. They just find ways past them at such speed. And now it's just a little jog from Arsene. Can he go back to back here? Under the mountain he goes, and there's the dive, and it just makes it right at the very death.
Yeah, the jog is always good to reserve some energy, and also second guess your opponent. If you're going to change direction, a full-out sprint is going to tell someone exactly where you're going, and you can't slow down. This gave him the option to accelerate, but unfortunately he did not have that acceleration when he needed it under the mountain. Lugang back in the hot seat, but 2-0 down on Chase 11. They've got a very tough battle ahead.
Vali Sultani, another one of these young guns, not quite as young as the two 16-year-olds, but he has been fantastic. Electrifying pace, real understanding of the quad, and he demonstrated both there.
And there it is, Vali, originally from Afghanistan, a fantastic player here in France, and being able to move through the quad like a second home. These guys have trained these moves back to back. This is their primary sport, and Parkour 59 are here to show what the French are all about.
Athletes ready!
Vali Sultani looking to put them even further clear and make a statement as they power into the semi-finals. Racers round the front line. Can he keep it going? It is turning into a race, and look how quickly he got up on the mountain. He's left his man floundering. He was abandoned at the top of the mountain like an Everest hiker who'd just given up hope of getting back. It is 3-0, Parkour 59, and another one of their young guns is getting it done.
Added to the pile of evasions Vali's got here in World Chase Tag for this World Championship. New addition, but really showing what he's made of on this premier team.
For their biggest win in the tournament so far, potentially 4-0, just about keeps his footing over the sisters Valley, and now he goes under the mountain. There's a dive comes in, he's managed to remove his ankle just before it made a tap, and swings back around the other way. And Vali Sultani, is he racing to victory? And another evasion, yes he is, it's back to back, and that's the game. Vali Sultani with a 4th evasion of the tournament, a 2nd of this match, and Parkour 59, who had some question marks over them. They were the big boys in this group. They'll have to settle for 2nd place, but is that performance going to convince you that tonight may be their night to become world champions?
Look, 2 times French champions, Parkour 59. The only doubt really was whether the youth can come and get it done. But seeing their new additions take most of the load at the end of the day, Parkour 59 have got Valley running chase after chase after chase, and especially between yesterday and today, racking up the evasions. Arsene, Gabin, I barely even saw Gabin on the quad today, so then we've seen Hugo, some of the old, and Naeem, some of the old guard. These guys can get it done. as far as Parkour Man are concerned, unfortunately, this is not their year. They can go away, get that training in China, and see what they can do next Worlds.
Well, what it does mean is that Parkour 59 will take second place in the group, and so the semi-final, the second semi-final is confirmed. The top two in the world, Hollywood Freerunners against Parkour 59. Eugen are in the first semi-final, and this game could decide whom they face. It is Fakao from right here in Paris versus Nimbus. Now, Fakao, Esteban Nogueira has played some exceptional chase tag here this weekend. It may be his hubris, though, that proves to be their downfall. He had 4 consecutive chasers, Esteban Nogueira, in their sudden death defeat to Rooftop Kings, including going in the sudden death. That's part of the reason why they lost. He was gassed, and it means there is an option where they could win in sudden death and still not qualify.
And here the strength from across the states, one of the oldest parkour organizations in America, APK, now calling themselves Nimbus, but a lot of the same players, ranked 13th in the world. We have an absolute stacked lineup of veterans with experience here to give Fakao some trouble and make sure that they don't get through easily. This is the deciding match. I want to see if Nimbus can get it done before it goes to sudden death. And if it does go to sudden death, they've definitely got the edge here, Dan.
Yeah, well, a sudden death win will be enough for Nimbus. An outright win would be enough for either team. But as I say, a Fakao sudden death win, that does open the door for Rooftop Kings to maybe sneak in. Fakao are going to go to Luke Yan, who has been excellent. 3 evasions in this tournament already. Logan Piner is perched. He's perched very close. And he sets off, and that is absolutely mad.
Crazy. How the hell? Talk about a spike, Dan. That was wild, straight from a chase plate. And Luke secures that first conversion, allowing him the opportunity. Why would you start across the front line?
I'm not joking here. That is the quickest tag in World Chase Tag history,
yes,
isn't it?
No doubt. I have seen people get some sprint and spike tags, but Luke secures the fastest tag I've ever seen right now.
Well, Elijah van der Vijver can get it done pretty quickly himself. Right, at this rate, this is going to go 16 chases, and it's going to last about a minute and a half.
Rapido on the quad today. We are seeing some speed demons. I would love to see some more strategy coming in here and find some more cover. It's not just always going to be about acceleration in World Chase Tag. We've got to get into some of those standoff situations, and maybe Elijah can get that to happen now.
Well, Elijah is starting in a more conventional position, i.e. as far away from the chaser as possible. Antoine Crepin, the man in the hat, sets off after him. Elijah just sort of making a bit of a meal of the sisters, but I think he might have just slinked out away with that one like a snake. Over the mountain, drops into the tilted cube, round the sisters a bit more easily this time. Shaping one way, he can't wait there all day, he doesn't need to. And now he's claiming a tag, is Antoine Crepin, but Elijah van der Vijver is dancing away because he thinks he's got the evasion.
Yeah, look, good sportsmanship there. Antoine coming up to make sure things are okay between the athletes. Elijah is certain that he got that evasion. So certain, in fact, he's got a little jig to prove it. That was the type of standoff I was talking about, and that is when 2 players are blocking each other with an obstacle between them. Are we going to go left? Are we going to go right? And it's all about reading your opponent in those situations. So Antoine did real well to read out when Elijah was going to break and how much time he had left on the clock and decide to go for that dive tag. That was the last opportunity he really had to do that, Dan. So Antoine did well to do the dive, but we do have a question in how much reach Antoine has got between those bars compared to the larger player in Elijah and how much he could slink off.
We have a decision. Tag made! Wow, the French fans breathe a sigh of relief. Elijah van der Vijver denied by the video ref. Antoine Crepin stays on and has the opportunity to put Fakao into the lead as their flag is being flown by the French fans here at Les Arènes.
And there we go, Logan stepping up to the plate for Nimbus.
Athletes ready!
You would imagine Logan will be on the quad longer than he was earlier on when he tried to evade. In fact, that's already happened by several seconds. Can he find a way to make the tag against Antoine? Yes, he can. Antoine trying to scuttle underneath him, but unable to do so.
I'm definitely not seeing Antoine on his A game here. In practice, this guy was ferocious, Dan. A couple of days ago, he was working on some crazy stuff. He had the intensity of a real match inside that practice session. In fact, they all did. Definitely with Esteban, their captain, we've got an intensity that may be a fire burning a little too bright.
Athletes ready!
Well, Esteban Nogueira couldn't wait to get off the chaser's plate there. There was some real fire. Oh, wow! He stood next to him. Logan Piner up on the bars, and Esteban Nogueira could have given him a cuddle if he wanted.
Face to face, eye to eye, I've got the tag. At the end of the day, I've jumped inside the tilted cube, and right there you are. There's the tag made. Both fellas standing on the obstacle, not even worrying about cover because he's right there when he shouldn't be.
Well, in comes Gabriel Payne, the man from Atlanta, Georgia. Esteban Nogueira, the Facor captain, trying to put his team into the lead in a game they know if they win it in the regulation time, they will be going through to the semi-finals and have a shot at World Championship glory. Gabriel Payne loses his footing, but he's up pretty quickly. He goes through the tilted cube, tries to make the tag and doesn't get there. When he gets another chance, that was desperate, but he was nowhere near. Esteban Nogueira onto the sisters. That is the lead-off point. That is Facao into the lead, and Esteban Nogueira, who could have been their downfall yesterday, might be their saviour today.
And fresh energy Esteban is something to be scared of. The crowd has gone absolutely wild. We've got flags being waved, people on their feet. Esteban now has to let that go, take a deep breath and realize he needs to keep on top of his game, keep a calm head to make good decisions against Frank.
Well, Frank Mejia loses his footing, but nothing stops this man. Nothing stops him. The tag comes in, and it's tagged pretty quickly. And Frank Mejia, who is their leading evader, or joint leading evader with Logan Piner, he's got a couple. Now, every single one of Nimbus's games have been close. There has only ever been maximum 1 point in it. Do not be surprised if we end up in the 15th and 16th chasers in this one.
Yeah, nothing new to Frank, but he's got a harsh competitor in Luke on the chaser plate.
Clambers up to the top of the mountain to start this one. Thinks about coming down, and he does, and he's away. Frank Mejia round the outside of the sisters. Nearly loses his footing. He has to put on the jets, but he's managed to do that. Luke gets up high, and Frank finds the bottom of the mountain. And off he goes through the mountain, bounces off a little bit. Oh, no! And it looked like the ref caught him before he landed on his nose.
Good save there by Frank. You can see a really interesting dive technique to keep the speed up between the mountain. Not quite working out right now, but it's the first time I've seen this huge dive through the mountain, basically just spearing himself in between those bars and then using the table on the outside to regain his feet. Not worked here, but very close to getting that full evasion.
We've reached the halfway point. Facao have the lead, but can they manage to keep it? Elijah van der Vijver trying to get hold of Luke Yang. Luke down under the ridge. Elijah forced to go around it, and now it turns into a race, and he jumps into the mountain. What a move!
Yeah, great move. Clearing that mountain table rather than stepping on it has put him close to the ground, and getting back to the ground, he can increase that acceleration. Luke going low, Elijah going high, and it working out in Elijah's favor there. Nimbus now have an opportunity to get that evasion, and can Elijah make that happen for them?
Tense times for the Facao fans in the crowd. As in comes Roger Maurice. Elijah at the bottom of the mountain decides to head for the tilted cube and immediately vaults those sisters. Then goes onto the chaser plate to get a bit of speed and a bit of an angle. There's a dive from Roger. He's claiming the tag. A look over the shoulder. Elijah doesn't acknowledge it, and he goes again using the chaser plate to try and get a better angle and a bit of pace. Where does he go now? Into the center of the quad. The lights go green. I don't think that tag was in time at the end, but the question is, was the tag made earlier?
Whether or not the tag was made, that is a crazy run that Elijah has just thrown down here on the quad. Full laps, changes direction, changing up the pattern just so Roger can't keep him guessing. And keeping his chaser guessing is the name of the game when you're trying to evade. Speed is part of it, but you need to make sure you are moving from cover to cover, and sometimes that requires a big change of direction, and to mix it up is going to keep people guessing.
Well, Elijah taking a seat. This is a huge call that's going to have to be made by the refs, because it is 1-0 to Facao. Nimbus may be levelling the game up at 1 apiece. And remember, a sudden death win would be good enough for them to qualify. Sudden death would not be good enough for Facao. They must win it within the 16.
And with the extra time to recover, Elijah here, if he does get the evasion, has got the opportunity to possibly get yet again another one. Head coach Johan for Team Fakao, making sure all his players have got the game plan set. He's already had a conversation with Roger. Roger deciding to take his time on the border of the quad. The crowd waits in anticipation.
Shrug of the shoulders from Elijah. I don't think he does not know if he was tagged or not. He doesn't think so. He didn't feel it. But it looks like we have a decision from the refs. What is the decision? Evasion given! Heartbreak for Fakao. That is not going to be enough for them if this goes to sudden death. And more importantly than that, Elijah van der Vijver has been sat there, recovering, ready to go again.
Yeah, it's great work from him, and Elijah taking his signature starting position. The evader is allowed to start wherever they would like, and if that does mean all the way on the chaser plate, then he can go there if he wants.
He's still not very far away from Antoine at the start of this one, but he now drops behind the ridge, swaying one way then the other, then sets off, hops into the mountain, keeps looking for his man, and Antoine is quite happy to oblige, and look at that for a celebration.
Fantastic dive out of the tilted cube there. I remember back in the day that tilted cube was an impenetrable fortress. Now they are playing with it like a kid's dollhouse. He's able to get in, get out, and not have to worry about any of the cover he gives, as long as you're willing for the consequence of missing that tag. Here he's secured the tag, and he's secured a nice parkour roll to finish.
Logan Piner into the action, gets up high and uses that pace to descend, but he was not able to get Antoine before he got away through the mountain. Logan going down low, now trying to get his man again. Oh, he's got a problem here. Antoine might be putting him back into the lead for Fakao. He hangs around there, and the dive comes in. Logan Piner, how many goes did he have?
Great dive there, and you can see holding on to the Lazy Boy bar allows him to reach for the dive and recover if missed. He's reached his man, got him off, and then Logan is recovering back to his feet because of that hold on the corner of the bar. Smart move there by Logan. We are now in chase 13, and it is still 1-all. It could very well go to sudden death.
The winner of this one will go to second place in the group, but the question is, are they going to be vulnerable to Rooftop Kings? Fakao could be, but Luke Yan makes the tag, and that means that they have got a chance to go back into the lead. Just 3 chasers remain.
Luke Yan getting a fairly quick tag there. Hopefully he can get that recovery in. The crowd here are egging on parkour. Fakao Paris needs to try and get that win secured inside the 16 chasers to really secure their place in the semi-final.
Frank Mahir heading off after Luke Yan. He dives through there. He seemed to smack his head, but he managed to make the tag, and it's another quick one from Frank Mahir, who's such an expert at this game.
Yeah, the homing pigeon, that is Frank Mahir. He can get you wherever you are. He just hones in on your position and gets that tag there. We've got him in this unconventional starting position, using the mountain however he likes, and we do have Captain Esteban once again on the chase plate.
Esteban Nogueira cannot afford to let Frank Mahir get away from him here. Frank by the tilted Q, goes under the mountain. There's a big swing of that long arm, but it does not make contact. And Frank can go round the outside of the ridge, and Esteban makes the tag, and he's got a chance to win this. If he evades here, they are guaranteed through to the semi-final stages. The best Nimbus can do is take it to sudden death.
And you can see the panic sets in patterns. Frank just going to that same exit and ended up in the same arms of the same ref on that same border, escaping and unfortunately touching the ground there, getting the tag. Let's see what Esteban can do on match point.
Could Esteban Nogueira win it for Fakao and book their place in the semi-finals and sew up the final 4 in the biggest chase tag tournament in the world? He goes round the outside of the sisters. Elijah van der Vijver chasing him for Nimbus. It's a bit of a stumble, and Elijah's got him, and Elijah does get him. And that means we are going to sudden death. A sudden death chase-off, longest evasion wins. Now, whoever wins this, they are going to go second in the group. If it is Nimbus, that's enough to qualify. If it is Fakao, then they are vulnerable to Rooftop Kings winning their game later against Fata Morgana within the regulation. They will go above them on head-to-head record, and it was all about Esteban in that sudden death against Rooftop, putting himself in again, and he just looked too gassed to get the job done.
Yep, absolutely. That adrenaline dump in Esteban is something to worry about, so we're going to see what choice of player. They've obviously picked Roger right now for the opportunity of an evasion, and he has a fantastic evasion rate, but he is up against Frank, who has obviously just been on the quad. Interesting choice, but you've got to pick one of your strongest players for that tag, and quick tag, not just a strategic tactician tag, but we've got to get some speed and aggression here. And when you need that, Frank Mahia is your man. He is crouched, primed and ready on the chaser plate, while Roger is sat calm and collected, ready to do what he does best on the quad.
Well, it is Frank Mahia who produced an incredible spike tag against Rooftop when they won sudden death there. Could he repeat the trick against Roger here? Longest evasion wins. Frank Mahia sets off after his man. He's losing his footing, but he manages to recover. He dives through. There's the tag. There's the tag. Second time lucky. There was an extra few milliseconds. Ignore that 10 on the timer. We're going to have to get a proper recording of the time, and I think it's going to be shorter than you might imagine.
Yeah, we need to make sure the official time is posted first, and within that official time, that will give, looks like Luke on the chaser plate, 14 for Cal. Good choice there. Luke, it will give him an idea of what he has to do. He is going to have to tag Logan in less than that time. If Logan can survive now, compared to the official time we're about to post, if Logan can just survive that long, he will get an evasion, meaning they win the sudden death, and Nimbus will once again have eked themselves out of a draw match situation with the win in the sudden death minigame.
Yeah, sudden death win against Rooftop Kings and against Fata Morgana, and if they can produce it here, it will secure, guarantee their spot in the semi-finals of the World Championship. If Fakor can make the tag within the time limit, they will go to second spot unless Rooftop Kings have a win later. What is the time? It's being checked by our refs. We are awaiting final confirmation. And I can assure you, I will bet any money in the world that Logan Piner is not going to start perched on that bar on the front line for this one.
I should very much hope not. Although where he is starting is an interesting position. This gives him the idea to be able to run through the ridge, second guess. Hopefully there's a little stutter step there before he runs back to the loading bay. If he goes straight back to the loading bay, Luke will be there waiting for him if he fully sprints. So it's a matter of using the front line sprint, but putting in some stutter steps to keep the chaser guessing before continuing on. And the best result for Logan here is to get past the loading bay and start to make that high line, but without having Luke at a perpendicular angle. What have we got here? Sorry, we've got 7.26 seconds to beat. Luke is going to have to get that tag in under this time just to be able to have the opportunity for Fakal to get through. If he cannot do this, his whole team's responsibility is on his shoulders.
Nimbus and Logan Piner only has to survive 7.5 seconds for them to reach the semi-finals. Can he do it? He goes up onto the mountain. Luke Yang reaches up. He reaches up and he claims the tag. He claims the tag. Logan Piner didn't acknowledge it. It must have been the ankle if it was, but that needs to be checked. Drama at the end of Group A. The Fakal fans are celebrating. The team are celebrating. Is that confirmed?
It looks like the arena, Les Arena here in Every seems to have confirmed it by shouting loudly, but we need to make sure the DTR is still adhered to. Big excitement here in Les Arena. We've got the coach up on the loading bay, up on the front line. We've got our organizers here making sure that this is a fair tag, because there is a dispute. Logan didn't feel it. Luke thinks he got the tag on the foot as we came out of the tilted cube. We need to figure out what's what. And both players there making sure they're checking in to see where the tag was made. Now, you can't blame it on Logan here. The adrenaline that he's got as he jumps out, he might not feel that tag, but Luke was certain he got it.
And it has to be obvious, that's the thing. And such a tiny feathering of the ankle, and I think he's got those supports on his ankle as well on the shin pads. If it's hit one of those, he wouldn't have felt it against the skin. But has there been any contact? This decision is absolutely enormous, because if it goes for Cal's way, they've got a chance of making the semis. If it goes Nimbus's way, they are in the semis.
Playing with fire there, Luke. Don't want to leave it down to chance. We want to leave it down to our judges and the video ref we have. We got a man in a van. He's studying tape. He's going to be in the ear of our head ref here, Johan, who is going to be making the final decision for this.
Does it go Nimbus's way, or are the French fans delighted? Final confirmation. Oh, can and Fakao survive! Nimbus are eliminated. They will not make the semi-finals in this game of millimeters and milliseconds. Luke Yang has pulled it out the fire, and Fakao are provisionally going through to the semis, but they are now asking Fata Morgana to do them a favour and stop Rooftop Kings from winning outright in our final group game. What a dramatic end to this one. Let's get down to the quad, because Greg Ball is on there and he's with the team captain for Fakao in Esteban Nogueira.
Thank you very much, Dan. I'm down on the quad with Esteban, team captain here for Fakao. Now listen, mate, yesterday's sudden death didn't quite work out for you guys by a little bit, but today's one has worked out for you. How are you feeling right now?
To be honest, I'm so proud of Luke, because yesterday he wanted to play the sudden death, but he didn't want to carry the responsibility of a defeat. And today he took this responsibility and he did perfectly, so I'm so happy for him and so happy for the team.
Very good. Now, you haven't qualified just yet, okay? It's close. Yeah. What needs to happen next is that Rooftop Kings, if they beat Fata Morgana, will still go above you in the table. Yeah. So you need Fata Morgana to beat Rooftop Kings, and then you succeed through. Yeah. What's your prediction on what happens in that game?
I have no prediction. We'll see. It's not our possibilities. You know, we can't do anything about that. So we're just going to sit down, enjoy the match, and hopefully we're going to be qualified.
Okay, and if you do qualify, your next matchup will be against Eugen. Yeah. How do you feel about the Eugen match?
I'm so happy to play against Eugen. It's been a long time I haven't played against them because I was always injured. So I hope if we play each other, I'm going to show some real level, and all the team is going to do the same.
Okay, well, good luck for that. Get resting, and we'll see you soon. Back to Dan and Connor at the commentary booth.
Esteban Nogueira there. And it's sudden deaths that could determine the fate of this team. It looked like a sudden death or a poor decision might have cost them. But that one there has put them in pole position as things stand. And all of a sudden, Fakao have become Fata Morgana fans for the rest of the evening. Anything less than a 3-point win for Rooftop Kings will be enough for Fakao to progress. But now we turn our attention to the final game in Group B, the Crow versus Nyx. The Crows started off their tournament with a 2-1 win against Parkour Man. They are from right here in Ovry, but since then they have suffered 3 consecutive defeats without putting points on the board. They undoubtedly have some talent with the likes of Valentin Boulili, Moen Karouche, Kylian Tonnerre, and Andy, who's a player that you picked out at the start of the tournament, Connor. But they take on Nyx, who are the reigning US champions, perhaps haven't quite lived up to the billing that they came here with, Connor.
I was expecting big things from Nyx, especially coming in from WCT US champions. That accolade alone tells me that they've worked the scene over in the US. They figured out what it takes to be good at this game, but unfortunately they're just not able to bring it here to the Worlds. A little bit of an underperformance there from Matthew Hall. I saw some great stuff from Nick Ambler. Michael Fraser, although, Dan, you said he was an absolute specimen as a phenomenal athlete, I haven't seen him bring it here to Worlds so far. So we'll see what they can do up against the local favorites of every homegrown team, the Crow.
Well, both of these teams picked up their solitary win against Parkour Man and lost their other matches. So this one decides who finishes above the other one in the table, which could be good, well, will be better for their world ranking, and of course will have an impact in what tournaments they get invited to in future months in World Chase Tag.
First time seeing Romain used nice and early in a match. Maybe the pressure's off for him, and maybe he feels like he can flex his legs now.
Athletes ready!
Romain Lenoble on the chaser's plate. And it is Bennett Person who starts for Nyx, and he goes up onto the mountain and sits there and waits, and then he drops down and then heads off, and Romain can't get hold of him there. A jump behind the ridge, a dive through the ridge for Romain. But that is Elliot sprinting away around there. Oh no! nightmare! Nightmare! The point was in his hands, and he lost his footing, went out of the quad, and that counts as an immediate tag.
Double shin on the way down. Looks like he's just remaining calm, figuring out if he's injured, he'll go back to his team, double check in with himself. But yeah, that flip, these bars are hard, and we need to make sure those strides are accurate. We next up have Spidey up on the podium. This is Isaiah.
Isaiah Keaton from California, competing for the gym in Georgia, Woodstock, and he makes the tag there. And Isaiah Keaton will stay on, but Nix, what a way to start the match. They should have been 1-0 up, and they've just thrown that one away. Can they recover?
Yeah, tough stuff. Hopefully Isaiah's the man to get it done. That was a strong start, flushing out from the ridge and then being able to descend on the front line. Although it did look a bit like Romain just got the hesitation there. Let's see what Killian can do to catch up for the Crow.
Killian Tonnerre heads off towards Isaiah. He's right behind him, too close to him. Isaiah just never built up any kind of space to allow him some comfort.
Yeah, fantastic acceleration through the middle of the quad there. That center is pivotal. If you're going to get a sprint across the front line or the middle, you want to make sure your footing is good. Killian getting it done there and getting to Isaiah before he could change direction at the Sisters.
So Killian stays on, and Bennett is back in action. A chance for redemption after having a point in the very first chase, but then falling out the quad and throwing it away. Got to make the tag here on Killian to have a chance to add a point himself. He moves up onto the bars of the tilted cube, but can't find a way through. Then he does come through the loading bay, but it looked like too late with the swipe. Killian constantly scanning over his shoulder and waits and takes the point. And Nix, it should have been 1-0 up. They trail 1-0 to the Crow.
Bennett putting in a fantastic run there, but not actually being able to get it done in the end. Right that last second, I thought he'd be able to get round the Lazy Boy and get the tag secured. But Killian, too fast, too unpredictable.
Nick Amblo, one of the key men when Nix went on to become US champions last year. A circumspect start, threatening to hop up onto the top of the tilted cube, but he does, and he manages to get over and get the tag before Killian gets away under the mountain.
Yeah, you got to watch out the reach here. Once he has mounted that obstacle, the tilted cube, once he is on the edge bar there, he is able to dive a phenomenal distance. It doesn't feel like you're safe when you're behind the tilted cube. You got to get out there well before he gets that mount, or you got to juke to the right so he comes into the tilted cube before you escape.
Andy Mujini Abdu, a.k.a. Brunt, into the action. Nick Amblo vaults his way through the mountain, goes over the Sisters in a more conventional way, hops over one of those bars and round the ridge, and it's a race around the outside. Can Andy cut him off anywhere? Turns back on himself by the tilted cube, and he does get cut off just before he disappears under the mountain again.
And there's a dive on the bottom window of the tilted cube there. Crazy stuff. You could see him stop halfway through the chase and decide, okay, I know where he's going to go. He'll end up in the tilted cube. No point tailing him. Let's cut back to the center and let's intercept at the tilted cube. I did not expect him to dive under that low bar to be able to secure the tag at the back of the quad.
Athletes ready!
Isaiah Keaton back into the fray. Spidey as Andy goes under the mountain towards the tilted cube. Isaiah kind of sort of stumbles off the tilted cube there. And there's a bit of open ground juke in there from Andy. And can he come down from the Sisters to make the tag? Yes, he can, Isaiah Keaton. And he keeps the lead at 1-0.
And not only does Isaiah secure the tag, he managed to do a full little flip off the back of the border there, just after getting the tag at the back. We'll see him secure the run through the Sisters, pushes Andy out here underneath the Sisters, and then there's the tag, and there's a full rotation back to feet. Not the only Spidey, huh?
Valentin Bouleli into the fray for the first time. Isaiah Keaton sets off, hops into the tilted cube. Valentin's not far behind, but he hops out of the mountain, Isaiah, and Spidey is off to the safety of the ridge. How safe can it be? There's a race there, and there's a tag that does come in. Valentin giving it everything there as he went out the quad, but the tag was already made.
Yeah, big risk there. He sprinted to that border. He's reached out his hand. If the hand had missed and he'd have gone outside the quad, it would have been an instant disqualification from the chase, and it would have counted as an evasion for Isaiah. So he secured the tag, and luckily he's made it to the opportunity for himself to possibly get another evasion for the Crow.
Bennett Pearson getting another crack. Man from North Carolina into the loading bay and then comes under the mountain, decides to cut off the corner, and he's chasing Valentin to try and get a chance, and he's going to use the height of the sisters to drop down and make that tag.
The speed at which these athletes are coming into that border, Dan, is crazy. We're seeing them fully commit to the tags. Bennett not starting off the strongest in this matchup, but seeing a little bit of redemption. Obviously, that injury earlier didn't put him out. Shins are fresh, they're ready, and he's good to hopefully get that equalizer. They are still 1-0 on Chase 10.
Number 4, Killian Tonnerre back into the action. Bennett should have given him a point at the very start of this match. Can he make amends? Can he get redemption? He's not going to get it there because Killian, good work in the tilted cue, manages to find his man.
Yeah, nice little threaded tag there by Killian, being able to secure him down. Bennett gets sent off, and Nick Ambelo, not the man you want to see on the chaser plate if you are trying to get an evasion. Killian having a little stroll through the center of the quad. Where will his final position be to keep that evasion quality cover between him and his chaser?
Well, both these teams know they're going home, but they will want to sign off with a win. Nick Ambelo needs to get his team back into it. Ooh, nice little send in one way and then go the other from Killian. And a nice little bit of move by the ridge. And the loading bay very nearly made the tag, and Killian's just jogging. He knew he got the point, and he does get the point. It is 2-0 the Crow, and the hometown heroes maybe signing off with a win to delight the Aubrey crowd.
2 up, couldn't be more happy for them. They have been training just outside the doors of Les Arena. There is a built quad for all of the French teams to be training on and work on these strategies, ready for big competitions like this.
Isaiah back into action. Killian Tonnerre, he's picked up his first evasions of the tournament in this one, but he's not going to add to it there. It is still 2-0 to the Crow as we head into the final quarter of the match.
And a quick cycle around the players here. I'm not seeing too much of a full roster. I'm seeing the same players get used, although this is the first time I've seen Zach Araya getting ready to chase, ready to hunt down Isaiah.
2-0, the Crow. Athletes ready!
Zachariah against Isaiah. And it got a biblical feel to it. And it ends pretty quickly.
Tag secured. Yeah, you got to watch out on that run up from the mountain. Realistically, it's going to work when someone's trailing you. But if they're perpendicular to the mountain, if they're running from that center, you are out in the open for a tag. And Zachariah securing that tag right there with a sprint up the mountain face and then being able to get the tag just before the jump between the mountain ledges.
Athletes ready!
Is this it then? The Crow looking to sign off with a 3-0 win. Bennett Pearson back in action. Could have started so well this one for Nix. The whole tournament could. It's coming to an end at the end of this match, but does it end in this chase? Because Zachariah by the loader boy, it gets away, and Bennett is starting, he collapses after crawling under the sisters, and Nix have collapsed in this one.
And there's a swarm of Crow players to absolutely celebrate Zachariah's amazing ending here. A 3-0 victory for the local favorites and the homegrown team of the Crow right here in Paris, Every. These guys have smashed it. Fantastic work here. All of the American players giving them props.
Well, it does mean that the American champions, and there's an asterisk with that because Hollywood Freerunners did not compete in the most recent US National Championship, but the American champions have come here and only managed to win one of their 5 group games. They were outperformed by their fellow Americans, Dexterity, and the other American team in Nimbus, who are so close to booking a spot in the semi-finals. But we say goodbye to the Crow, and we say goodbye to Nix as well. And we now turn our attention to the last remaining group game. Fata Morgana, the team from Israel, find themselves in a position where they know they will go no further in the tournament. However, they can have a big say on who does, because their opponents in this final game of the entire group stage are Rooftop Kings. And Red One, the team captain, knows they need to win in the regulation 16 chasers. If they are able to do that, then it is they who progress to the semi-finals, and Facao, the Parisians, will miss out. I don't know how much of this French crowd are aware of what happens here. I know Greg Ball explained it on the quad earlier on. But that is the situation, and these French fans, if they know the score, they should be cheering on Fata Morgana here. Because if they deny Rooftop Kings the full 3 points, then that means Facao will be in the semi-finals facing Eugen.
Things are starting to heat up here. These matches matter. We have this final chaser for group stages, and it all comes down to this as to who is going to go up against Eugen in the semi-finals.
Well, it is team captain Red One Yagu, who is on the quad for Rooftop Kings, looking to get an evasion that would put them on the way potentially to a spot in the semi-finals. Yuval Salah is on the chaser's plate, and off they go as the group stage comes to an end. Is it going to come to an end with a decisive match? Red One is tagged, it remains 0-0.
Uncharacteristically unaware there from Red One. I'd usually expect him to keep his eyes on the chaser for a little bit longer, but he's able to get the sprint to the sisters, and there Yuval is there waiting for him, got the tag secured.
Yuval starting by the ridge. Taha into the action. Taha Wakoudi from Morocco. Gets in a bit of a mess there on the front line, but he manages to recover, and he's underneath the mountain, but Yuval's already vacated the area, and he keeps the pace up as he goes under the sisters, over by the front line, and Taha tries to make a dive there. He's running out of time. He's had 3 dives, and he's claiming the last one made contact. I did not see it, I have to admit.
Quick hand there. Yuval seems to have stopped, so he decided that it was a tag. Taha also very adamant there, talking to the ref. Quick start, couple of stumbles from Taha. Haven't seen him utilize that much in this world competition as of yet. Very underutilized in the group stages, but you see he's got the energy, definitely got the technique.
Number 11, Maxime Mirozny into the action as Taha gets up on the mountain, jumps onto the bars of the tilted cube and tries to get away, but Maxime's not having any of that.
Again, no eyes. Taha, same as Red One. He's got a route. You can see him running that route, and you can see him looking at the obstacles rather than looking at the chaser. You need to make sure you keep your eyes on where they are moving and adapt based on that, not just run a pretty route around the quad.
4, Fata Morgana evaded, 0-all. Athletes ready!
Well, it is Dan Van Dissel, been one of the top performers for Rooftop Kings in this one. Can he get hold of Maxime Mirozny here? And he is going to get hold of him. Tag in the midriff as Maxime turned back on the mountain, only to find his chaser right there waiting for him.
Yeah, potentially Rookie of the Year, Dan Van Dissel. Coming up all of this season, he has smashed chase-off after chase-off for Rooftop Kings, and he's showing the veterans in Fata Morgana how it's done.
5, Rooftop Kings evading, 0-all.
Dan Van Dissel might be Rooftop Kings' biggest threat in terms of evasions. He has 3 in this tournament already. Luis Casas has to stop him, and he does stop him. The tag is made. Came tumbling to the floor, but he managed to get out of that safely. Dan.
And there is another tag, a height. We are seeing more and more of these in this world competition versus previous worlds. We're seeing people take the high line and other players risk the tag and do the dive when it's necessary.
Athletes ready!
Quentin Hegler does have an evasion. Perhaps his biggest moment came against Facao when he got the evasion in sudden death. Can he help propel his team into the semi-finals? He reaches out and can't find Luis there, but he keeps up the pace, and he does make sure he gets in the second time around.
3 attempts all the way around these corners, being able to try out, flushing this player out of the loading bay, going for an attempt under the ridge, going for another attempt on the corner, and then sprinting that final successful attempt and getting the tag over by the Lazy Boy. Great work there by Kuhn. Let's see what they can do. We're still 0-0, and we're coming up almost to halfway through the chase.
Yeah, chase 7 of 16. Rooftop Kings need to find a way to win this in regulation time if they're going to deny Fakao a spot in the semi-finals. Konten Hegler moves through the mountain easily and goes over the sisters, now by the front line, looking over his shoulder to see Dmitry. Dmitry Domokov trying to close in, but can he close in? This is the moment, there's the dive. And the dive did make contact, but I think Dmitry made contact with plenty on the way.
And I knew in practice this ridge game that Dmitry has developed would come to fruition in the competition. You see how he just swings his leg over, completely bypassing any of the cover that ridge gives, because he can always jump down backwards, but he could also sprint down from it, and that's what allowed him to catch up to Kuhn there on the front line. Great ridge game there from Dmitry.
Dmitry Domokov starting by the sisters. Bent Van Hoff into the action here. Bent trying to find a way through. Can he use the ridge to his advantage? He gets up high and now drops down low, and then he loses his footing, and Dmitry's gone out of the quad. It looked like he was in control of things, Dmitry, but then he could not stay in the quad, and that counts as a tag.
Yeah, coming up to the last dance in that chase, we were almost there for the evasion for Dmitry. He worked real well on juking in between. He had a good bit of cover, but he needed to not stumble up here. You see that extra step. He knew that Bent was right on his tail, so he's lent to the right, and that balance has put him out of the quad.
Yuval Salah back into action as Bent Van Hoff starts at the ridge, heads back to the loading bay and very quickly decides to get to the mountain, but then returns, and we're going back and forth here. Dare we go back to the loading bay? No, he goes into the tilted cube. Yuval is quite close, but not close enough to make it count, and he's run into trouble there, Bent Van Hoff.
Tag made, tag accepted. Wasn't sure when Ben walked that off whether or not he was going to go for a DTR or try and go for the full evasion. For Yuval, getting the tag, but also slamming into the sisters. Not ideal for him, but he'll do what he needs to. He's going to fight strong to try and get the evasion attempt here for Fata Morgana.
Daan van Dissel back into it for the Netherlands-based team. Just tapping those bars, Daan van Dissel, trying to get some sort of reaction from his man. Up onto the tilted cube, comes down onto the sisters. Can he force an option in the open ground? Of course he can, and Yuval Salah just ran out of room to run away.
Yeah, textbook herding here, Dan. Really being able to lean into these obstacles and forecast the fact that he has got cover on one side. That pushes his evader to go the other way, and that is exactly what Daan van Dissel wants. Then he can track him down to get that mistake and get the tag on the front line.
0-all.
Athletes ready!
Once again, Daan van Dissel is being targeted by Luis Casas. He got him the first time. Can he get him this time? Look at the pace from Daan van Dissel. He go around the front line, all the way around the outside of this one, by the loading bay, under the mountain. Luis can't grab him there. Gets up onto the sisters and then round the corner, and he manages to use every available inch of the quad there to stay out of the way of Luis Casas. And Daan van Dissel has picked up a point, and that is great news for Rooftop Kings. It is bad news for Fata Morgana, and it's even worse news for the Parisian team, Fakao, who can only sit and watch.
Daan van Dissel getting that first evasion here in Chase 11. Fantastic work, securing that. Now they just need to ride out the defense. Daan van Dissel needs to make sure that he can get either another evasion on the board.
Daan van Dissel, if he doubles up, this might be done. It is Maxime Mirozny who's back in for this one. He goes onto the mountain. Daan van Dissel managing to just about keep his footwork over the sisters. This time he goes underneath them and goes low into the base of the mountain. Manages to avoid the bars. And is he going to do it again? Is he going to do it again? 4 seconds left. Turns around and open ground under the ridge. And that is another evasion for Daan van Dissel. And this one might be done. And Rooftop Kings might be sneaking into the semi-finals via the back door. Thanks to Daan van Dissel's evasions. That's number 5 for him in the campaign.
And that is why they call him the Rookie of the Year, Dan. Daan van Dissel getting it done. And here we have another match point situation. One more evasion, and Rooftop have taken it home.
Daan van Dissel, DVD, he will want to be watching this one back because it's been quite the performance, and it could be sending his team into the semi-finals, but not just yet because Dmitry Domokov makes the tag.
Tag made. Dimitri, not unknown to get back-to-back evasions, but he does have a tough job ahead of him, Dan. He's got to get not only one evasion, but he's also got to get two just to match the score of Rooftop and bring it to sudden death.
A penny for the thoughts of Esteban Noguera and his Fakao team as they watch Rooftop Kings potentially steal their spot in the semi-finals away. It's Largo into action, and he goes after Dimitri, and he gets him as well. And Rooftop Kings have battled and fought, but it is a special back-to-back evasion display from Dan Van Dissel, the Rookie of the Year, and it means that Rooftop Kings qualify for the semi-finals in their World Championship debut. What an effort to sneak through. A very specific set of circumstances had to happen for Rooftop Kings to do it, but the African representatives have managed to make the final four and will face Eugen in the opening semi-final. What an effort, Connor.
And just like that, Teha, Bent, Kuhn, Lago, Dan, and their captain, we have Red One over the moon at the result of knocking out Fata Morgana and going through to that semis to face their rivals in the English Eugen in the next matchup.
Right, well, look, we're not going to hear from those guys because they need to go and prepare because they're in the opening semi-final against Eugen, but we are going to Greg Ball on the quad, who is with Christian Deveau, one of the founders and creators of this majestic sport, World Chase Tag.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. Now I'm joined here by Christian Deveau, one of the founders of the sport. Christian, this is 10 years on since the original chase-off in which we got our first victory. Tell us how you feel being here, every conqueror, some titans in the room, in what I think personally is the biggest competition Chase Tag's ever had.
Yeah, I often get asked that question, and people, you know, we started in the garden and we have, you know, the YouTube videos when, you know, Lando and Luca, my kids, were like just running around as little toddlers almost. And people say like, oh, how can you believe it's ever got this big? But actually, when I sat down with my brother and Damien and we were deciding like, this is what we wanted to do, this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, this is actually what we thought of. Yeah. We didn't quite, our imagination didn't quite stretch to Wembley, but this is actually it. When you hear the audience scream, like when an evasion comes out, it's just such a nice feeling. And so yeah, this is it. I'm so happy that we were able to have done this here in this crowd, which is such an amazing crowd. So thank you.
And it definitely is an amazing crowd. Now, obviously, we've had incredible matchups in competition over the past 2 days in both the Open Division and the Women's Division. Has there been any standout people or teams here today that have caught your eye in particular? I know you can't choose favorites, but...
I can't choose favorite, but there have been so many amazing moments, yeah? And it's been a sort of story of, like, top and the bottom, yeah? Because you're seeing these, like, young kids that are coming up who are just, you know, playing chase tag from the time they were young, and they're now beginning to mix it with the older, more experienced people, and that's such a nice feeling to see it and to see the progression and to see them actually performing in this stage, not getting too nervous, but actually delivering as well. Yeah. But at the same time, I've also been surprised at the other end by some of the old guys, yeah? Like Dave is at the moment, leading evasion scorer.
That's it.
I don't even want to say what Dave's age is, but I know he's been around for a while, yeah? And that's really pleasing to see as well, yeah?
Yeah, and hot on his heels, I think it's Arson from Parkour 59, 16-year-old from the Youth League.
Arson, yeah, Parkour 59 they're like, this is the template of what builds a good community, is what they've done at Parkour 59. Because, you know, they've built up, they've recruited the younger ones, they've built up, they have an academy, they bring the support, they bring the drums, they bring the excitement and everything like that. And so, yeah, Arsene, Gabin, it's really good to see. And even underneath them, right, we have, like, local guys here who are training on the quad in Evry with the Art de Déplacement. And they impressed me, like, when we were going through the rehearsals. And they're snapping on the heels of the 16-year-olds. These are the 15-year-olds and the 14-year-olds who are also looking really good. So, yeah, that's amazing to see as well.
Well, look, generations are coming for sure. final question for you before we get on with the next matchup is, what is next for Chase Tag? What comes next after a huge event like this?
The next for us is just to plan a calendar of events. For us, it's really important to continue developing. We have a certification program where we have gyms can use our copyrighted rules and quad design and trademarks. And it's just to develop that around the world and build communities like we have here, like we have in the US, and just continue building that everywhere. You know?
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time here, Christian. On to the rest of the competition.
Thank you.
Merci à Christian Deveau, qui est le fondateur de World Chase Tag. Et oui, Christian Deveau et Damien Deveau qui ont créé cette compétition qui nous a amenés jusqu'ici dans les arènes de l'Agora. Pour le World Chase Tag 7. Il est super content de pouvoir faire vivre ce genre de projet et avoir un public comme le vôtre, de le faire vivre en real life. Et oui, on n'a toujours pas pour 59 présent dans cette compétition. Et ce qui est beau dans cette compétition, c'est qu'on a des vétérans qui sont toujours là, qui sont toujours prêts à combattre, qui enchaînent les compétitions, mais en même temps, la jeune génération qui entre en jeu avec un nouveau style. Et on peut voir qu'il y a énormément de mixité dans les stratégies, dans chaque équipe. On assiste vraiment à une partie d'échec. Oui, le Chase Tag, c'est pas seulement se courir après, mais c'est vraiment très stratégique. Si vous voyez la préparation dans les loges, en train d'analyser les autres équipes, les vidéos, le terrain, vraiment ça va vite. 20 secondes pour être le plus smart possible, pour mettre le tag, pour mettre l'évasion. Voilà, il y en a qui s'entraînent depuis déjà des années, il y en a qui ont fait un an de préparation juste pour vous ce soir, pour ce week-end. On va encore applaudir bien fort nos athlètes de ce week-end. Et les finalistes, les demi-finalistes, toujours en cours sur cette compétition, on a Eugene, Hollywood Freerunner, Rooftop King et Parcours 59 qui vont tenter de gagner cette trophée de cette 7e édition.
The teams are in position. We are about to start the semi-finals of this year's World Championship. Live at Ivry-Court-Coron. We have the defending champions Hollywood Freerunners, the #1 ranked team in the world. They will play the back-to-back French champions, the #2 ranked team in the world, Parkour 59. But we start with Eugene, the old stagers, former world finalists, not particularly fancied to go and take the world title. They've never won a major World Chase Tag tournament. But they will be favourites in this opening semi-final, having topped their group as they face Rooftop Kings, who've snuck into the Final Four via the back door with that dramatic victory in the very last game of the group stages. Connor, Eugene making their way to the quad. They are just 2 games from potential glory. They're multiple finalists. They've reached the finals of all sorts of things, World Championships, European Championships. And yet, could they, even with a depleted roster of just 4 players who are only hobbling around anyway, some of them because they're carrying knocks, could they produce the best campaign of their entire lives here tonight in France?
Wouldn't put it past the last of the old guard, the oldest team in World Chase Tag, Eugene, to pull out the big guns and try to get this as their last dance here in Ivry-Court-Coron, to be able to get the World Chase Tag 7 Championship and take that win against Hollywood Freerunners, their rivals from over the pond. But right now, the story is all about Rooftop Kings. They made their last match, they beat Fata Morgana, and now here they are saying hi to the Eugen players with a little bit of sportsmanship before they go head-to-head and the aggression comes out. We've seen some real crazy plays, specifically by Lago, Red One, even Teja getting on the quad in the last match against Fata Morgana, but really the star here is Dan Van Dissel. It will be whether or not Dan can run back-to-backs and have an answer for Richard, for Dave, and also Sam's absolute prowess on the quad here today. But first off, we need to find out who's evading first. And there it is. We've got a rock, paper, scissors, and Red One getting the win gets to choose if they're going to evade or tag first.
Yeah, and it's a no-brainer, isn't it? You're going to evade. This is the biggest game of their lives, Rooftop Kings, in their first ever World Championship. Dan Van Dissel, as you say, with 5 evasions in the tournament. That puts him at the top of the rankings alongside Dave Hogenboom of Eugen. The top 2 evaders going head-to-head, but it's Conten Hegeler who's going to lead things off for Rooftop Kings.
So we could get a night of flight at the end of this match, is what you're saying.
There's a chance, certainly. We do have a third, fourth playoff as well. And it's not just about the evasions, of course. However, does play a big old part as Sam Van Ryn's on the Chasers' plate. Whoever wins this match reaches the final in the biggest tournament in World Chase Tag. Sam Van Ryn trying to get hold of Conten Hegeler. Conten Hegeler swings around by the lazy boy. And back to the ridge. Sam Van Ryn waiting for a moment to pounce. Is this it? Well, he couldn't quite get it done. Conten Hegeler in open ground goes back the other way, and he's chasing shadows. Is Sam, and he holds his head in his hands, springs back up. But that is a lead-off point for Rooftop Kings.
Same pattern twice. This run seems to really be serving him. I think Sam thought on that second go-round that it would be a slight change-up when he got to that low bar on the front line. Unfortunately for Sam, that prediction was incorrect, and they've got 1 on the board. Rooftop Kings in the lead.
That's only the 3rd evasion that Eugen have conceded in this tournament. Richard Thompson has been a big part of that. Nobody's getting away from this man. He's having a fabulous event.
Yeah, absolutely on fire. He has been training super hard, not just in the UK, but also in the Netherlands with Dave around Amsterdam. So obviously Rooftop Kings, although nominally an African team, train quite hard in Rotterdam. These guys have met each other before multiple times. They know each other's game. Now it will be time to find out who is the best at this world competition.
We've mentioned it before. Richard Thompson might just be getting better and better. He certainly displayed some serious skill in this one. He goes over the sisters there as Bent tries to get hold of him. Little scans over the shoulder from Richard Thompson, but all it did was he saw Bent Van Hoff getting bigger and bigger and bigger and closer and closer and closer, and then he was too close.
Yeah, hunting him down there on the front line. Richard getting a nice clean tag, and there's the handshake. Richard stepping off for now. Hopefully we'll get some recovery, because as we mentioned, Eugen down to a limited roster here. I don't think we're going to see Haroon. We're not going to see much of Dane. So let's see what they can do with those 3 remaining players.
Sam Van Ryn trying to get hold of Ben Van Hoff, and an all-Dutch encounter. There's a swing and a miss, and Ben Van Hoff uses the sisters pretty well. Now he goes, so, okay. Was that a snipe tag?
No, I think Ben, as he reached the ground, knew immediately that Sam's got his number, and he's right there behind him as he's dropped down to the ground. So the tag has been made, he's felt it, and the deceleration from there is him knowing, okay, I'm out. But Sam is going to have to do some work here now. They are 1 point down, and they're going to need to get that evasion on the board.
Athletes ready!
Dan Van Dissel, an absolute gun of a chase tag athlete. Burst onto the scene. And he burst upon Sam Van Ryn here. Sam Van Ryn shaking and shimming. The dive comes through, and there's no tag apparently, so Dan has to get up and have another crack. Can he force an opportunity here? Over the sisters for Sam Van Ryn, but he cuts off the angle. Dan Van Dissel gets the tag, and Rooftop Kings still lead this one.
And Sam, running back in that same route, was expecting Dan to do the same, to pause there on the Lazy Boy, to expect a duel situation to happen to the Lazy Boy. But Dan, reading his movement, seeing Sam was already gunning around the corner, mounted the front line so he could get that tag there on the front line.
10 evasions between these 2 men on the quad right now in this tournament, 5 apiece. Dan Van Dissel trying to get out of the way of Dave Hogenboom to see if he can become the outright leader in evasions and, more importantly, put his team 2-0 up in the semi-finals of the biggest tournament in World Chase Tag. Hogenboom not able to make a move, but he does go through the loading bay. The referee said tag, but on we go. Dan Van Dissel round the outside, the lights go green now. The ref has now said evasion. What do you make of the... Well, Dave's not contesting it, it would appear. Is he?
If Dave doesn't dispute this now, they've only got 3 seconds after the match finishes to call a disputed tag review. If he didn't think it happened, then it didn't happen, which puts 2 points on the board and gives Rooftop Kings a massive lead here coming into Chase 7.
Wow. Rooftop Kings were literally going out in the group stages about 20 minutes ago. Now, they're in a great position to get to the final, but Dan Van Dissel can't go back-to-back. Their lead remains at 2-0.
It's not over till the great Dutchman sings, Dan. We've got Sam Van Rijn deciding where he's going to start, and it might be in his signature Sam Stutter position between these sisters. And Largo, for the first time being used in this match, stepping up on the chaser plate.
Athletes ready!
Largo goes to the center of the quad. Makes Sam move from where he was. He's up on the tilted cube, is Largo, and reaches across. That's why they go there. It gives you such an advantage. You've got options there as a chaser.
Yeah, that corner is pivotal. Mounting that corner, I think the name of the movement would be a tiger, and you are ready to pounce like a tiger. Not just over the mountain, which is where you got the tag here, but if Sam had decided to double back, you've got a nice open tag in the middle of that tilted cube too. Largo, very unconventional starting position here, Dan.
Well, it's one of these where you expect him to sprint directly away from Richard Thompson. He's not exactly launched himself, but he swings back around to go over the sisters. Richard Thompson's not going to panic here. We're doing a lot of work around the sisters, but Largo turns back just to see where Richard Thompson is and then gets slapped on the arm.
Yeah, and you can see Richard staying calm here. Although it's an unconventional start, the game still works the same, and Richard, controlling the center, is able to push Largo only to the left side of a quad and play that game between the tilted cube and the lazy boy. And back and forth they go until Richard can find a way to just gain a couple of inches and get closer to close down that tag. Great work there by Richard.
Richard starting at the ridge. Can he mount a fight back for Eugen? Bent Van Hoff looking to get hold of him. Gets one leg into the loading bay, but then he flushes him out and can't find a way to make the move. He gets a little bit stuck, but hops into the tilted cube, and how good was that, Connor?
Straight from the sisters, clearing the tilted cube, landing on the inside to get the dive on the outside. Fantastic work there by Bent. I could really see that he's got great work when it comes to spiders, and his ridge game looks strong. He could flush anyone out of any of the obstacles at this stage. Bent might be unstoppable as a tagger, but what can he do against Dave as an evader?
Dave Hogenboom into the action once again. Eugen needs something. Can Hogenboom provide? Trying to find a way at the front line, and that's exactly what he does. The tag is made on Bent, and the lead is still just 2, but we've only got 5 chasers left.
Yeah, this one not down to Dave's prowess as a tagger. Bent just stumbling and having a little bit of a mishap under pressure, making the wrong decision, finding himself in the wrong place. These chases happen fast. We got to think even faster, and sometimes mistakes happen.
Quentin Hegeler, the man who put Rooftop Kings in front in the very first chase of this one. Did he set them on their path to glory? An appearance in a world final. Dave Hogenboom trying to find a way to get Eugen back into this. There's real dancing going on by the loading bay, and he gets closer and closer, Cone, and then he makes the tag. It is a 2-0 lead that they have. There's only 4 chasers left, and that means that it is match point to Rooftop Kings. What a story this would be.
And Kuhn making a match point here by not only spidering, that's that inside the loading bay spider movement you're seeing here, but also timing the foot, making sure he's closing down options before able to get that diving tag to finish.
Eugen have beaten everyone before them so far in this tournament, but they might fall short in the semi-finals to the debutants. As Quentin Hegeler heads up under the mountain, Sam Van Rijn extends the arm and makes the tag, but it is now all down to Sam Van Rijn. He has to perform heroics to keep Eugen in with a chance of a first ever world title. Largo is on the chaser's plate, and it's all down to Sam Van Rijn.
10 seconds.
There it is. What must be going through his head in this match point situation for Eugen? It is all on his shoulders. What can Sam do against Largo?
Largo to put his team through to the final of the World Championship. Sam Van Rijn up on the mountain, Largo looking up and then moves on to the sisters. Has he missed his man? If he's missed his man, he's gone out the quad, and that's an evasion. They can't carry on, he's gone out the quad, it's done. It does not matter, it's whether the tag was made. They're carrying on, it does not matter at all.
Bit of confusion here, and also Largo throwing his body around to finish. The evasion would have been counted either way if Largo has stepped out of the quad and not managed to have any contact before the feet reach the ground. So we're going to get an in-air tag by Largo. Largo is looking for the tag. Sam doesn't see that he felt it, but Largo was sure that he made contact before he fell out of the quad on that race.
If this isn't a tag, Sam Van Rijn should have just stopped, really, because he's had to run around and expend more energy, and he knows he needs to evade again. He's been forced to run around it because the chase ends there where Largo goes out of the quad. There's no reason to carry on running.
We have a border on this quad for a reason. Anyone puts their feet on the concrete outside the border, they are now out. It is an automatic, no contest tag or an evasion, depending on which player is going out of the border. But you get disqualified as a player if you touch the concrete. Now, in this case, it looked like Largo was aiming for a tag on Sam, and then he's gone out of the quad. Let's see if that tag was made.
Yeah, it's all about that contact, if there was any. And it looks like we're getting the medics involved as well, because Sam is just feeling it a bit. But to be honest, I mean, look, they've definitely got another game, because there'll be a third, fourth playoff if Eugen do lose this. And they'll be even further depleted. The ice is on the knee, but is the champagne on ice for Rooftop Kings? Because they are one decision away from reaching the World Championship final in their world debut.
So close, yet so far, because if Sam Van Rijn gets up and puts a good shift in, he might not manage to just get one evasion. He could get a draw leading to sudden death, and that could decide who comes out of this semi-final of the World Championship here today. Largo's asking the crowd, what do you think? And we've got a consensus from the crowd. Oh, it's a mixed bag, Dan.
It is a mixed bag. I'm not sure there's any overriding opinion. Rooftop Kings. I apologize, I called them debutants. They did play
There
before,
we go. What the crowd thinking? We got some evasions in the air. Ooh.
We're still waiting for a decision. It looks like we have one now. Are Rooftop Kings going through to the final, or must they wait? Evasion given. There was no contact. Largo went out the quad, and Sam Van Rijn all of a sudden has sprung up from his injury bed, ready to try and keep Eugen in this.
Back in the game, Dan. Back in that game. Sam Van Rijn showing what he's made of. This could be a place for miracles to happen on the quad. Sam knows the pressure, but he's used to that pressure. Let's see. He's got the Rookie of the Year on that chase plate. What can Sam do?
Daan van Dissel, it looked like a false start. No, it wasn't, but he has... No, okay, Sam's waving him back. Well, I'm not sure it was a false start, but he thought he had a false start, and he might have burned 2 seconds there unnecessarily. Sam was quite sportingly, just let him go back, and we're going to start this again.
Sam's calling it. If anything else, it's going to be advantageous for Sam here, just to get that extra little bit of recovery. Although Dan, very fresh himself on the chase plate. Let's see what can happen in this chase 15 of 16.
Daan van Dissel, the Rookie of the Year. Can he put his team through to the World Final? Sam Van Rijn, it's going to have to be miraculous from him to go back-to-back evasions to keep Eugen in it, and he's not going to do it because Daan van Dissel reaches up and touches him, and he has touched the final because Rooftop Kings, they are through to the final, having only just snuck through the group phase. They have taken out Eugen, and they have a chance of glory. Their first World Championship appearance a couple of years ago, they didn't evade a single time. They were done 11-0 in aggregate. However, Rooftop Kings are through to the final. Our African representatives, based in the Netherlands, could be a huge shock and take the biggest title in the sport, Connor.
What an upset here we have for Eugen getting sent home on their shield once again, reaching the semi-finals of a prestigious world event, but not quite getting it done, not able to pull the trigger when it comes down to it. Rooftop Kings, however, only progressing month on month, day on day, getting the chasers in, working hard in Rotterdam at Red One's gym, making sure they are running classes, building up the next generation. They've got a real strong women's team. Their men's team has managed to get all the way through, not only complete their group stages only just, but also smash out the semis. What a crazy result we have here today.
Right, many people expected we would see this match at some point this weekend. The #1 team in the world, the defending world champions, Hollywood Freerunners, up against the #2 team in the world and the back-to-back French national champions, Parkour 59. But most expected it to be in the final. But Parkour 59's inability to win their group means they must take on the biggest force in this sport in the semi-finals. Naeem Street leads out his team that is so mixed with youth and experience. It has been the young guns that have been firing, but are they firing enough to take down the defending champs here tonight?
Homegrown Parisian talent, Parkour 59 have shown everyone what the French scene is all about here today. However, they have one of their toughest battles up ahead with the reigning champions, and they have shown their reigning champions, Dan. Hollywood Freerunners haven't missed a beat this competition, so Parkour 59 are really going to have to pull out the big guns and work on getting this done. They have the toughest job on planet Earth to beat the world champions, the reigning world champions in Hollywood Freerunners. Let's see what Parkour 59 can do, but so far as the fans are concerned, they can get it done. There's hope in the stadium. We got people on their feet, they're cheering, they're hyped, and I am ready to see what can happen when two Goliaths meet.
Yeah, this is a clash of giants, the top 2 ranked teams in the world. Carson Palmer steps up for Hollywood in the rock, paper, scissors, and it looks like he's won it. Rock beats scissors, so Carson Palmer winning that initial battle. They will swap sides, and it means that Hollywood Freerunners are going to be evading first. Kai Baldwin, Kyle Soderman, Gabe Torres, Carson Palmer, they're the stars of this team. Grant Kinningham, a new recruit, but has shown what he's about, and in fact, they're sending in Grant in the very first chase in this one.
And Grant making sure his shoes are grippy as heck on the chaser plate, but then a little stumble down the border into the quad there. Not sure what that was about, Dan. We have Grant pacing backwards and forwards, thinking this is it. This is a moment I've been training for. This is the trust that such a legendary team have put on me to join this team and step up to the mark. Can I do them proud? Can I get it done against such a beast as Naeem Street stood on that chaser plate?
The drums are being banged, the chants are being chanted. Naeem Street, the Parkour 59 captain, sent in to try and get hold of Grant Kinningham, the new recruit for Hollywood. There's a stumble from him and ultimately it proved fatal, and the cheers go up as Parkour 59 get the tag.
Yeah, trying to get that quick little cut just up from the lazy boy might have been a mistake. He should have kept on his speed, got around the border, and hopefully worked on getting the sisters as his escape metric there. As you see, come around the front line, no problem, but there's the stumble to try and go on the inside. Should have kept the speed up on the outside of that obstacle.
Street and that sort of signature starting position, bouncing between the platforms of the mountain. Carson Palmer gets up there so quickly.
Yeah, look, again, it's the perpendicular action on this mountain. You can't be up there if someone's coming from the chase plate. It is a very weak position for the evader to be in. That chaser can just spike you straight away as long as they're willing to do the dive, and every member of Hollywood Freerunners are willing to do those dives at that height.
Tom Fair into the action for Parkour 59. Carson Palmer trying to put the defending champions ahead in this semi-final. He's not going to do it there because Tom goes over the bars of the tilted cube to get the tag.
Great dive there by Tom. Carson getting sent off, tail between his legs. We are still on 0-0 in this French versus American match. And we have for the first time Kai Baldwin stepping onto the chaser plate.
The Knight of Flight, the MVP from the last World Championship where Hollywood Freerunners won this title for the first time. Kai Baldwin, the Australian, into the action. Everything done at 1,000,000 miles an hour and done to perfection and with precision again.
There we go. That is the difference between the Americans and the French when it comes to the ridge. I've seen them develop these strategies and seeing how quickly they can flush people out of the ridge and still be in an advantageous position to get back to the ground and accelerate. Kai Baldwin wasting no time to show that he has done the work and he's willing to bring those tactics to the world stage.
Gavin Parrier, 16 years old, too keen, and that means with a false start, yeah, they're going to pull him back for that one. They are going to pull him back, yeah.
There we go, Kai calling it. It looked like they just got into absolute blinkers on, neither of them wanting to stop that chase. I want to see what happens when the young buck meets the absolute killer in Kai Baldwin. The Knight of Flight versus one of the best ranked players in the world right now, Gavin Parrier.
Sweet 16 and a little too keen. False start there, but Gavin is into it now. And Kai hops up from the middle of the mountain to the top, under the ridge. Race around the outside, brilliantly moves up onto the sisters and uses that high line to get away from Gavin. And a race around the outside again. Gavin trying to cut off the space. And there's a little stop and a go, and Kai Baldwin showing exactly what he's about. That's why he's the Knight of Flight. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he might be the best in the world.
And you couldn't imagine the speed these athletes are putting onto the quad here today. If you'd have had Gavin opposite you on a chaser plate, he's going to get you 10 out of 10 times. There are very few people in the world that could achieve what Kai Baldwin just showed us there today.
Parcours 59 trail. They've just sent in one 16-year-old. Now they send in the other, Arsène Coupin. Kai Baldwin looking to show these young kids how to play this sport. Goes round by the ridge. And he stops and he turns, but the tag is made just before Kai gets away by the loading bay. The lead remains at 1 point.
Arsène keeping the pressure on Kai and looking for his opportunity and getting the opportunity there by the mountain. Nice deep breath by Arsène, resetting, getting his central nervous system ready, but he's gonna need it because we've got Kyle Soderman, the return of one of the best players in the world of all time on the chase plate.
Kyle Soderman, the Hollywood stuntman. He is tall, he is powerful, he is quick, he is everything you need for this sport. But can he get hold of his 16-year-old prodigy? He can, because he uses the front line expertly and gets him before the ridge.
There it is, and that sprint across the front line. I've seen a lot of players keep pressure on that run across the front line. The pressure isn't good enough when you're going against someone like Arsène. You need to make sure you're willing to dive down to the ground, and you can see the consequences there on Kyle. Slamming into the border, but making sure the tag is achieved before he does so. Great control on the front line.
This is a semi-final. They have to give it everything. Kyle Soderman trying to stay out of the way of Hugo Boczynski, who gets up on the ridge, flushes Soderman out. He hangs around by the loading bay, goes back to the ridge, tries to jump out of the way of Hugo. That does not work.
Yeah, interesting, unexpected start there from Kyle, being able to cut back in towards the chaser plate, even though the chaser has got the center control. That gave him a few seconds, but those seconds unfortunately didn't count when he made that mistake under speed, under pressure by the ridge. Let's see if Hugo can rebalance the scales and take it back for the French in this next evasion opportunity.
The lead is just 1 point as we head into the second half of this game. Carson Palmer getting up high on the ridge to give himself options, and he gets down low under the mountain but doesn't make contact. He's been very good at recovering when he's had a failure to make a tag early on in a chase. But will he get another chance? He gets stuck and he dives and he's claiming it. He's claiming it, but Hugo's off and time's running out. There's no time, there is time. He doesn't quite get there anyway. It's all going to go to that first attempt or the second attempt on the other side of the quad.
Well, this would be a fantastic turn of events for Parcours 59 if it turns out to be an evasion. That last little backpedal there by the tilted cube was within inches of getting that final tag before the green light went up and the evasion was initially given. Carson, though, looking at disputing that tag review, and it has been given by the head ref. It was an earlier tag, not at the end of the match, but an earlier tag was given, and now Carson has the opportunity to increase that 1-0 lead.
It didn't take long to come to that decision, and an important one in this semi-final. Carson Palmer did make the tag. Tom Fair has to get a tag here, or it's 2-0 to Hollywood, and the defending champions are looking great for the final. Tom can't find Carson at the top of the mountain. He goes to the tilted cube. Carson Palmer keeping an eye on Tom Fair. Tom Fair dives around, but Carson's already left. Over the sisters, round by the front line. 4 seconds left. He gets out of the way of the despairing dive. Tom is claiming it. Carson had already started celebrating. It's going to be another one that goes to the ref.
DTR to DTR, back-to-back disputes. This is truly a game of inches, and we are seeing people reaching out and thinking they got the tag. Unfortunately, the evader's heart is set on getting away. The adrenaline is pumping, and they might not have felt those fingers swipe and make contact. We do need contact, and it is on the chaser to make it very evident. It needs to be a clear tag. Now, if this DTR does go to Parkour 59, they get an opportunity for another evasion. And if not, Carson then gets an extra rest, allowing him to get the evasion and move forward.
Well, naked eye, I wasn't sure there was contact. You could see where Tom Fair's just acted it out. He's mimed it. It's in that far corner near the DTR screen. I thought Carson had managed to get away. If he has, it is 2-0 Hollywood with just 6 chasers left, and a spot in the final is right theirs for the taking. If it is not, Tom Fair has had a bit of recovery time and will stay on the quad, looking to level this up for Parkour 59. It is another huge call for the referees to make.
Both players keeping their head in the game here. Team captain Naeem on the edge of his seat. We've got Amos nice and calm and collected. Carson going back to his team to check in on any tactics, strategy, things that we can think about before moving into the next.
The Parkour 59 fans are desperate for a tag. The little pocket of Hollywood fans in the crowd here at Les Arènes are calling for the evasion. We have a decision. It is down to our ref. He heads to the chaser's plate. And the verdict: evasion!
Huge moves there. Hollywood Freerunners with a 2-0 lead over halfway. They're into chase 11. They only have 5 chases left to make up the difference. Parkour 59 really have an uphill battle here. They're going to utilize all of their youth, all of their super stud players to be able to get on the quad and hopefully track down Carson here now.
Carson Palmer, back-to-back DTRs going his way. 1 a tag, 1 in evasion. Hollywood Freerunners moving inexorably towards the final, unless this Parkour 59 team can summon up a comeback. Arsène Coupin chasing after Carson Palmer. By the tilted cube, the arms extended. I thought it might have caught a knee, but there's no claim, there's no tag given. Carson Palmer tries to duck out of the way of that. Another dive from Arsène, he just kept on coming.
And there, tag given, Carson understands it. He's outsmarted there on the front line. A lot of pressure here, and Carson under that the whole way around. Well done, though, for getting those 2 points on the board. They are going to be pivotal to keeping their lead and hopefully bringing them through the semis. Parkour 59, though, they're going to need to start making moves if they don't want to get relegated from this second place.
Parkour 59 clinging on by their fingernails, but Kai Baldwin could wrench their hand off a spot in the final. He loses his footing, but he recovers brilliantly. Arsène Coupin getting away for a moment, and you could hear the cheer from the crowd. There's another dive, it's claimed, the tag is claimed, and I think it's being acknowledged. It is by Arsène, and Kai Baldwin late in the chase makes the tag, and Hollywood are 1 point away from the final.
That was a close one. I started to really feel Arsène there getting back and forth across that sideline of the quad. I wasn't sure if he'd make it. It was so close there, but Kai being able to track him down on the front line. Valley being sent in from the first time for Parkour 59.
Valley to try and save the game. He needs to tag and then evade twice. It is such a tall order, particularly when you're up against Kai Baldwin, who hops on top of the mountain, stops, goes over the high line, heads towards the front line, turns back again, under the sisters. Kai Baldwin pulling out all the stops, all the tricks. Is he going to get the win? Yes, he is! Kai Baldwin has sealed the deal for Hollywood Freerunners, and the defending champs have a chance to go back-to-back here at Les Arènes. A stunning display as the world #1 beats the world #2. The French champions are out out in the semi-finals, and Hollywood Freerunners will contest the final against Rooftop Kings.
What a way to do it, Dan. Ending in style. Kai getting not only an evasion, but just walking it off, being able to step out of the quad knowing that 20 seconds was his. All these players have worked so hard over multiple seasons, not seeing much of Hollywood Freerunners since their win over 2 years ago. But right now, we are in for a treat to see them in the final. And unfortunately, for Parkour 59, this is as far as they can go because we only have one spot left. And next up, we are looking for a third place playoff. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, that is correct. Parkour 59 now drop into the third, fourth playoff. They do have to have a little bit of time to recover. So the French national champions, the best they can do is take third place. They're going to have to take on Eugen, the team that beat them in sudden death in the group stages, while Rooftop Kings go head-to-head with Hollywood Freerunners, a team they lost to 2-0 in the group phase.
Merci à tous. Merci vraiment à tous du fond du cœur. Et pour encore une fois encourager nos athlètes.
Johan from Parkour 59 thanking the fans from the bottom of his heart. They have given everything to support their team, but they have been unable to reach the final and have a chance of glory in the World Championship.
Il a 16 ans, mesdames et messieurs, on peut l'applaudir s'il vous plaît. 16 ans, il est déjà dans les Worlds. Il nous a fait des matchs super impressionnants.
The support for this team, Dan, in the stadium is palpable. Everyone wanted them to get through. Heartbreaking.
Bah, forcément, la plus belle, je pense. C'était vraiment une expérience incroyable. Et les prochains Worlds, c'est pour nous. Hein. C'est ça? Plus de bruit!
Well, Arsene Krupin, one of the two 16-year-olds, saying how amazing the experience has been, both for him and for the team. And maybe it's not this World Championship, but the next one will be Parkour 59.
Vous êtes des Français exceptionnels et on vous aime très fort. Bien sûr, merci à l'équipe, à Paka59, à Volt, à Fakao, à RBC40, à Kimeo, à tous ceux qui étaient là. Merci beaucoup, un maximum de bruit s'il vous plaît.
More words from Gavin, the other 16-year-old, saying how amazing the experience was. And thanking the French fans, whatever team they came here to support. The majority of the French fans were here for Parkour 59. They've been the loudest, they've been the noisiest, but their team has not been able to move through to the World Final. They will return. It'll be the next game we have after a small break. Parkour 59 against Eugen for the third, fourth playoff. And then we will see whether Hollywood Freerunners can retain the World Championship title or whether Rooftop Kings can string one of the great surprises in chase tag history and go and claim the biggest title in the sport. Fakao, who missed out on the semis, being introduced to the fans. It'll be a few minutes before the third, fourth game kicks off. Stay with us because two more matches to come, the bronze medal match and then the big one, the World Final, live from Ovry.
C'est un peu compliqué pour nous, c'est une défaite qui fait mal forcément, mais on reviendra plus fort et les années d'après on ira de plus en plus loin et un jour cette victoire elle sera pour nous et vous pourrez créer le plus fort possible à ce moment-là. Merci à tous d'avoir été là et merci à toute l'équipe pour le travail fait.
Well, Esteban Nogueira from Fakao saying that it's a difficult one for them to take, but they believe that they will come back stronger and one day take this title, and then their fans can scream as loud as they like. The team from Paris have been well supported. Plenty of Fakao flags in the crowd. Looked like they might be going through to the semi-finals, but that Rooftop Kings victory denied them on head-to-head record.
Merci.
Ici c'est Paris, this is Paris, but it is not going to be a Parisian team who are crowned world champions tonight.
Ils participeront bientôt au prochain World. Ils sont tout petits, ils n'ont pas l'âge encore de participer, bien évidemment. Mais on note les têtes, on note les têtes. Et je vous dis, Evry, c'est rempli de talent. C'est la ville des Yamakasi, du parcours, de l'art du déplacement, du free running. Et je sais que ils sont un peu discrets. Ils sont un peu comme nous. Qui connaît Blacklist par applaudissement? Ah, quand même. Et on a aussi une équipe locale. Je sais pas où ils sont, je sais pas s'ils vont faire les timides, mais j'aimerais avoir un membre de The Crow, juste pour prendre la parole à domicile. The Crow, juste un mot s'il vous plaît. C'est pas les Worlds tous les jours. Andy, un petit mot pour ton public. Ah, par contre, faut aller sur le terrain, je te le dis. Andy, enfant d'Evry, il est né à Evry. Ah, ils sont tous nés à Evry, sauf à Sarrière. Tranquille, t'es de Paris. Ici, c'est Paris. Ok, on va donner le micro à Andy. Okay, Andy, un petit mot.
Merci beaucoup de nous avoir soutenus. Merci d'être venus. Et The Crow, on sera là, j'espère, pour ces éditions dans la tout. Merci.
Merci The Crow. Sachez que le parcours il est long parce qu'ils ont dû faire des qualifications pour arriver jusqu'au World. C'est pas évident. J'aimerais un petit mot. Kylian qui a participé plusieurs fois au Chase-Tag, il est revenu de loin. Moi je vous dis, je l'ai vu grandir. Il s'est fait 3 fois les genoux et pourtant c'est l'un des plus forts que je connaisse.
Well, the French loving continues, but we're going to hear from Amos Rendell, the team leader of Hollywood Freerunners, who tonight could retain the World Championship title. Our reporter Greg Ball, the 3-time world champion himself, is down by the side of the quad talking to Amos.
Thank you very much, Dan. I really appreciate the love you've been giving me today, and the love that you guys have received has been heavy as well. Now listen, you've fought all odds to get here. You've said personally, with the team and all else. You've just beat the 2nd seed in the world, Parkour 59, and you're about to come against a team, Rooftop Kings, who never really thought they were going to get this far. But Rooftop Kings have beat you before in competition. What's going through your head? What's the plan going into this next match?
Yeah, I'm in a strange mix of being on cloud 9 after that last match, where I feel like Hollywood's skill finally came out. In all of our group matches, it was a little iffy at times. That match is when everyone rose to the occasion. It was beautiful, but that feeling's also mixed with knowing we have one more match, trying to stay focused. We do not take this team lightly. We did beat them before, but we've had some injuries on the team we're having to adapt to. I've had to rework a lot of the matchups. So I'm trying to keep my head in the game, trying to keep their head in the game. We're just trying to stay as focused as possible so we can go in and give it our best, because we put so much work. There are so many sacrifices for so long that we put into this. It means so much to these guys, and so that's all we're thinking about at this moment.
And what does this mean for you personally? So obviously for the team it's huge, but for you, you will then be a 3-time World Chase Tag champion, right? Your legacy is already in the sport, but it will be solidified in history. What does that mean for you personally?
Honestly, I haven't thought about that once during this competition, because what matters to me is coming through for my team, knowing that I made the sacrifices, I did everything I could, truest victory within, no matter what, and I've achieved that, and now it's just enjoying the experience with these guys that I love.
Let's do it, man. We'll enjoy it. We're about to kick on. I look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you, Amos. Go get ready.
Well, there we go. A 3-time World Chase Tag World Champion talking to a man who may join him as a 3-time World Chase Tag World Champion tonight. Amos Rendell will return with Hollywood Freerunners for the final as they face Rooftop Kings. But there is the matter of the bronze medal match, the 3rd-4th playoff to be contested, as Eugen, former European Championship finalist, former World finalist, former national finalist in the UK, go head-to-head with Parkour 59. They have just said their commiserations. They have apologised and thanked the fans here in Les Arènes of Ricourt-Couronne because they have not quite lived up to their ranking. The world #2 side, unable to top their group, unable to come through the semi-finals. And part of the reason for that is because they had to face Hollywood in the semis because they lost to Eugen in the group phase. That meant they lost the preferential #1 spot, and it means that they must take on Eugen once again. A little bit of revenge potentially on the cards, Connor. It won't taste that sweet because they came here for the big prize.
Yeah, it's all come full circle. This is one of the oldest active French teams versus one of the oldest active UK teams. So we've got England versus France for the 3rd place playoff. All still to play for in regards to the world rankings. And I'm sure Parkour 59 will want to bury the hatchet based on that upset from early on in this comp.
Well, we saw in the women's division earlier on this afternoon, Kunoichi suffered some real heartbreak, narrowly missing out in the semi-finals, only to then bounce back and take the third place with a very good display, to be fair to them. Can Parkour 59 do the same? Or are Eugen going to take the third spot?
It's got to come down to heart, Dan. And at this stage, Eugen have got plenty of it, as well as Parkour 59. So it's anyone's game. My prediction is Parkour 59, based on the roster, based on having more available players to cycle through on this 16 chase, will take it. But we have seen upsets before, and Eugen are an unpredictable beast. So let's see what Dan can do. Dave can do, sorry, stood on the chaser plate for Eugen with Tom Ferrer as an evader.
Athletes ready!
Dave Hagenbaum into the action. 5 evasions, as many as anybody else in this tournament so far. Could he sign off with a couple of evasions in this one? He's still a potential Night of Flight, even if they don't take the title. Tom Ferrer, though, is getting out of the way of him at the moment. Dave working into the loading bay, and there is a dive, but it doesn't make contact, and Tom Ferrer is going to pick up the point. And Dave Hagenbaum staggering around the quad as the first point goes to Parkour 59.
Yeah, that was absolutely the last-ditch attempt for Dave there, being outclassed by Tom all around the quad, using Yiku, staying with the cover, and keeping his feet moving well to not let Dave guess his direction. Great work there by Tom, first evasion on the board.
Sam Van Rijn, who's been called upon to do so much work for Eugen in this tournament, despite, I think, having an ankle knock. But he has still performed very, very well, and he's done very well there to get the tag on Tom.
Yeah, never not impressed with Sam. I've seen him have a couple of injuries walking in to some competitions. Never 100%, but always giving 100% to make sure he can pull out the bag. And we have seen some miraculous stuff appear from him. I wouldn't put it past him right now to have a runaway evasion streak. Let's see.
Well, they may not be getting a world title, but Eugen still quite happy to have a go at the French fans. Sam shushing the French fans as they made a noise for Parkour 59. Some real struggle to get over the sisters, but he's managed to stay out of the way of Gabin. And he's round the front line. Gabin comes under the front line to get the tag in the end.
Clutch tag there by Gabin right at the end of that chase cycle, almost making it the distance. Sam making it round the whole quad, but Gabin, that's got to have drained his tank slightly, and we are late on in this comp for him to be running around that far to get the tag. And we have Richard, a fantastic tagger. Maybe not the best evader, but a fantastic tagger here on the chase plate.
Richard Thompson, he's had a very, very strong event, but Gabin Pariel is a real breakthrough star here. And he sets off at pace under the mountain, goes around the loading bay to the ridge, moves swiftly up onto the ridge. Richard Thompson then descends to the front line. I know you like that play, Connor.
Yeah, 100%. A bit aggressive. He wants his player. He wants to hunt him down. This is primal. This is where Richard survives the best. Obviously, it's all love off the quad, but when it comes to the game, they are here to win, and Richard proves that with how he plays. That play style is always aggressive. Been known to get a yellow card or two in his time, Richard. Let's see what happens now from an evasion perspective.
Are you suggesting the Eugen boys have a bit of an attitude problem? Well, I never. Richard Thompson starting at the ridge, going over the mountain, drops down to go back under the mountain the other way, but Arsene saw that coming and makes the tag.
Good tags don't make great evasions. Richard can get it done when it comes to hunting someone, but while being hunted, I don't think he's got as many answers. He's not sure exactly where he can get away or what he can do against Arsene from the Parkour 59 Youth League, making it into this adult league here.
Athletes ready!
Arsene, who's got 4 evasions so far in this tournament, starts at the ridge, goes back to the loading bay. There's a little bit of dancing going on as he goes under the mountain to the tilted cube. Doesn't hang around there long, but bounces back off the second sister to go back towards the mountain. Then he's sat down, and Sam Van Rijn descends to make the tag.
The pressure's there from Sam, but really I think this was just Arsene making a mistake, getting a quick slip, losing his balance, and then ending up on his backside right there at the back of the quad. Easy pickings for Sam to jump down and get the tag, and now we're seeing a little stretch. He's disappeared, trying to do a little game of hide and seek as well as a game of tag.
I mean, trying to hide is an option for Sam Van Rijn, but he is having to do an awful lot of work. And is he able to get some good work done here and avoid Hugo to level this game up at 1 apiece? Over the mountain he goes. Hugo jumps, doesn't quite make the tag. Felt like he pulled out of it. Whether he thought he wasn't going to get there, I don't know. And there's a little dancing around the sisters there for Sam. But oh, look at that full commitment from Hugo.
There it is, massive gate vault, being able to hold on to that top bar. Full commitment, body penduluming over. Heels over shoulders, he's come all the way around. Love this little jewel that they had on the sisters, and then there's the moment of commitment. Dead on the floor, Sam knows he's got the tag.
Ah, hello Dane, nice of you to join us. It's been a while since we've seen Dane Nemhard in action for UJ. But he does get a go in the third, fourth game. Goes down low as Hugo, racing around the front line. So good at going down low and moving through those bars is Dane, but this time he gets up on the platforms. And he comes around the corner of the tilted cube, but Hugo's already over the sisters and under the front line. It looks like it could be another point for Parkour 59, and that's exactly what it is. Hugo Boczynski with his third evasion of the tournament to put him 2-0 up at the halfway stage.
2-0 up. This is not what UGen want at this stage. Dane was a risky play, but they have a limited roster, already losing Orlando pre-comp and Haroon in the group stages. They are limited to who they can use, and Dane just couldn't get it done.
Dave Hogenboom into the play. Just moving slowly, and Hugo has to make a move, and he gets out of the way, but he can't get out of the way of that dive by the loading bay, and Dave does get to stay on the quad.
These dives, this little Viper technique where you're sliding in between the bars and reaching out for your tag, this can be a serious health issue. If we get just a little too high on the head, it can be a very quick smash to the noggin, and he's managing to dodge that out and get the tag just there by the loading bay.
Vali Sultani, another really impressive campaign. There's so many impressive campaigns in this Parkour 59 team, and the tag is made on Dave Hogenboom. Vali stays on, and Parkour 59, they can taste that third place and the bronze medal.
Yeah, well, I like to say with Vali, even if he's chasing or evading, there is still some really good stutter steps you're going to hear on the ground. Those trainers interacting with the floor, and that is showing you that he is moving even quicker and getting good footfalls.
Like the Jaws theme on Helium, a terrifying noise to hear as an evader. Richard Thompson trying to track down Vali, and that's exactly what he's done. It's another expert tag from Richard Thompson, who gives it some in front of the Parkour 59 fans.
Vali not even getting a chance to put it to a duel and use that technique of those quick feet, instead going for a straight sprint over the sisters. I think he could have done with putting a little bit more cover between him and Richard and playing more mind games rather than just straight athleticism, because Richard's a big boy, he can track you down and he'll get that tag.
Two big boys of chase tag here. Naeem Street, there's talk this could be his last ever World Chase Tag competition. Can he sign off by guiding his team to a bronze medal? He's chasing after Richard. It's all the way around the outside. Does he back himself to make the tag? He does. And if he hadn't made the tag, then he was in trouble, because he has ended up fully 20 feet out of the quad.
Flying outside this quad. We have a 12 by 12 meter border, and after this sprint, he has dived, got the tag, flipped over, and slid his way all the way to the audience. Fantastic commitment there by Naeem Street, but he's going to need to get this evasion to win the game.
Naeem Street has thanked the fans already. He landed on one there. He slaps the 4, enticing Sam Van Rijn to come for him. Naeem Street is not going to win the game for Parkour 59 in that chase. However, it remains match point. Sam Van Rijn must produce a heroic performance to turn this round. And just look at him. Has he got enough left in the tank, particularly with the 16-year-old Gabin Pariel eyeing him up.
Parkour 59.
Gabin sets off. Parkour 59, their 16-year-old star, who's really broken through in the last few months, but particularly at this tournament. Up onto the platform by the front line. Sam stutters, Sam steps, and a slip from Gabin. Sam Van Rijn, can he get away? He can get away. He's through the mountain. That's an evasion. And the deficit is half, and maybe UGen could do something here.
And there we go, Sam proving that miracles can happen. Getting it done for UGen, getting 1 point on the board, but it's not done yet. We've got the second 16-year-old stepping up to that chaser plate. for Parkour 59, trying to get some redemption for Gavin's missed tag attempt here at the Lazy Boy.
The kids are coming for this sport, and another 16-year-old on the quad, Arsene Coupin, looking to wrap this up. He's down low as Sam Van Rijn descends to the top of the mountain. There's the move through the tilted cube, and there's the tag that seals the win. Arsene Coupin, the 16-year-old. If one of these kids doesn't get you, the other one just might. And Parkour 59 sign off for the World Championship with the bronze medal, the 3rd place. It's not what they came for. They'll have to make do, but they really have showcased some brilliantly exciting young talent this weekend, Connor.
Twice the French champions have now come 3rd place in this World Championship, and that does make Naeem Street very happy with the new generation that he's brought up. And we're just getting told now this may be his retirement party. 3rd place might be as far as he'll ever get in a major competition of World Chase Tag again. That's not to say he won't be playing Chase Tag for fun or even other tag-related activities, but in this format of World Chase Tag on the world stage, he is maybe facing his retirement after this, their 3rd place win.
Well, what a campaign it was from Eugen. Nobody really expected them to top this group. They did beat Parkour 59 in the group stage. They could not do it in the 3rd, 4th playoff. And the Parkour 59 fans have something to cheer at the very end of their team's campaign. The drums have been banging, the songs have been sung. Parkour 59 take the bronze medal, and they take the adulation of the crowd. I think we might be able to get a few words, because Greg Ball is down with the guys from Eugen, certainly. I would hope we can speak to Parkour 59 as well, but certainly Richard Thompson and Dave Hogenboom, 2 of their top performers here this weekend, are with Greg. We are trying to corral Parkour 59. There we go.
Thank you very much, Dave. Right, Dane. Dave. Well, you know what? The last time we did this interview, I accidentally threw your name in the mud, and now you've done it to me too, so here we are. Unfortunately, this is the end of your progress here today. How are you feeling, my man?
It's the end of the journey, but it was a great journey. Yeah. It took us 2 years to get to this point. We had a lot of losses, not just on the quad, but also outside of the quad. So for us to get here with a not full team, I mean, that's amazing. So the journey was great, so I have nothing to be ungrateful for.
Good man. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to do this one, but congratulations first and foremost on your upcoming incredible surprise. Is this the end for you as well, or are you going to keep it coming on?
I mean, I'm probably going to keep playing.
I hope so, I hope so. Well, look, we hope to see you guys back soon. That is it for your journey. And sadly, that is it for Britain in this one. Thank you guys very much.
One hell of a tourney, bro. One hell of a fucking tourney.
Et merci à Eugene. Ils sont très fiers de cette aventure dans le World Chase Tag, malgré une équipe incomplète. Et oui, Eugene, qui est l'équipe senior de ces World Chase Tag. Ils ont commencé depuis le début. Actuellement en train de recevoir leur médaille pour cette 3e place. On peut les applaudir bien fort s'il vous plaît une dernière fois. On arrive bientôt à la fin de cette 7e édition. Quel week-end incroyable dans ces arènes. Le week-end incroyable, le format. J'ai jamais vu un sport pareil. Et je suis fier de pouvoir être là ce soir avec vous. Merci aux frères Deveau.
In the final match of the World Chase Tag World Championships, Rooftop Kings versus Hollywood Freerunners. In the blue corner, Rooftop Kings!
After 2 days of battle and contest, we are down to the final match of the WCT7 World Chase Tag World Championship. It is not necessarily the final that many predicted, but Rooftop Kings, who played their first World Championship a couple of years ago and were trounced in the group stages, have rebuilt, have grown, have become stronger. They are the only team to beat Hollywood Freerunners in the last couple of years since Hollywood won the world title for the first time. But they have come here to Ovry once again this weekend, and they have showcased their skills, not least in the semi-final victory over Parkour 59, which their leader Amos Rendau felt like that was when it all came together as a team. Have they hit peak form at just the right time, in time to retain the title, Connor?
So I'd say Hollywood Freerunners look unstoppable at this stage, but we've seen that before from Hollywood, and yet they have been stopped. Rooftop Kings beating them out in previous chase-offs. We now need to see that same energy. Rooftop Kings just about squeaking their way through into the semis, smashing out their semis match, and that sets them up for the opportunity for revenge and to finally take back their big grudge against Hollywood Freerunners. And there we go, first rock, paper, scissors taken by Rooftop Kings. Advantageous position to start. Red one pulling paper and taking on Carson's rock.
Rooftop Kings, they only just made it out of the group, but they were very impressive in beating Eugen. They managed to hold on after taking an early lead. Can they take an early lead in this one? It's going to be down to Bent Van Hoff to start things off. Hollywood Freerunners, they won this title. They're looking to retain it. They're looking to win it again. Is the sequel going to be as successful as the original? Is it going to be Godfather 2, or is it more like Jaws 2? Carson Palmer on the plate for Hollywood.
Bent Van Hoff in the evasion hot seat. Not who I'd expect for Rooftop Kings here. I was expecting a Dan Van Dissel for that first opportunity, but maybe they're saving Dan just for that special Kai interaction later.
Bent Van Hoff with a chance to put Rooftop ahead. Carson Palmer's the go-to man at the start of this one for Hollywood, and he makes that work very, very quickly.
Quick tag there. Carson known to have done real well in sudden death matchups where the quickest tag really matters. And here, showing that prowess, getting a quick tag, which allows him to recover for a nice amount of time, not expending too much energy, and starting here by the ridge.
There's no point having any energy left at the end of this. This is the biggest match in the sport. They've got to leave it all out there. Carson Palmer moves to the base of the mountain. Can Kunten Hegeler get after it? Carson all the way around the outside using his pace, but there's enough pace and cone there to make the tag.
And there's a shutdown there just by the ridge on that front tray. Great acceleration there. Carson thinking he just about got away. And if that tag attempt had not been made, Carson would have had a massive lead here. Grabbing the bar, Kuhn able to pivot himself around, get the tag, and then recover back onto his feet.
Athletes ready!
Carl Soderman, the original superstar from this Hollywood team. A man who was in tears when they won the world title here 2 years ago. Trying to track down Kunten Hegeler. Gets up onto the bars of the tilted cube, forces his man to make a move and then counters it.
There it is. Great change of direction there by Kuhn, but a little too late. Kyle had already pegged him out by getting that high position on the edge of a tilted cube, understanding the Tiger, understanding those continuums. If you do this, I'm going to do that. And he is very versed in these different stratagems, getting to the ground, getting the acceleration, and securing that tag there.
Taha Wakoudi, the one man from Morocco in this nominally African team but based in the Netherlands. Carl Soderman racing around the outside. He stumbles but he gets back up and Taha wasn't close enough to make that count. Onto the sisters for Soderman. Another race around the front line, gets to the ridge, somehow gets over it, does not get to the mountain, and Taha makes the tag quite late in the piece.
I am so impressed here, Dan. Taha managing to show some real good ridge game, being able to break that down, and the strides down through the center of the quad, right in the middle there. And after this, we've got that secure tag, sprinting to finish. What an amazing result there for Rooftop Kings. Taha and Kyle, first time they've ever interacted, and there it is, getting the tag.
It's Carson Palmer again. No sign of Kai Baldwin, no sign of Gabe Torres as yet for Hollywood. But Carson Palmer hops up onto that plate at the front of the mountain and just swings around it to get the tag on Taha. 5 chasers in, no score yet.
Yeah, these stalls are really important. When Carson is mounting these obstacles, he's looking to see what the evader's going to do, what steps they're going to put in, and then he's adapting based on that. It's not just a game of cat and mouse. There is a whole continuum of stratagem that he is considering, and then he executes the right choice.
Athletes ready!
It's Bent again, straight over the front line, closing down that space to Carson by the tilted cube. But he moves through the mountain, then turns back on himself to go over the mountain, but Bent read it and Bent made the tag.
This is a great move here by Rooftop Kings, sending in Bent. We can only assume Bent is a strong contender to get them an evasion on the board. They wouldn't have picked him in the first chase if he wasn't, which means he can shut down that evasion attempt by Carson, and then with the same swoop, actually have an opportunity to regain that evasion that was lost at the beginning of the match.
Well, Ben Van Hoff is yet to get an evasion in this tournament. Could he get one in the final right now with Kai Baldwin tracking him down? Imagine that. Kai Baldwin loses his footing a little bit. He can't find a way through the tilted cube. Can he find the ridge? Sorry. Can he find a way through the ridge? The loading bay a problem again. Now it's to the tilted cube for Kai. And the time is ticking away. Can Kai Baldwin make the tag? He dives and he stretches. He's not there. That is the first evasion of the tournament for Ben Van Hoff. And it comes against Baldwin. And Rooftop Kings lead the final.
What an amazing result here for Rooftop Kings, being able to smash out Kai Baldwin, getting an evasion on the board for Rooftop Kings. Fantastic work there for Bent Van Hoff.
Wow. Rooftop Kings, it cannot be stressed enough. If they win this, it is an unbelievable result at the end of 2 days of battle. Bent Van Hoff being tracked down by Grant Kinningham, the new recruit, and he does track him down very well. We're at the halfway stage. Rooftop Kings lead, but just by 1 point.
Great jump out of the tilted cube there. Grant giving it a little woof. Okay, I'm glad I got that down. I need to secure this because I need the opportunity to equal the playing field. They're not out of the game yet, Hollywood. They're only 1 point down, and they have been known to get runaway evasions. Let's see what Largo can do for Rooftop Kings to shut that down.
Hollywood have come from 1 down already in this tournament. That was in the group stage against Fakao. Grant Kinningham by the loading bay. Shaping one way, bounces off that platform, and look at the pace and the power as he races away around the outside. Largo tries to get him, and he does get him before the sisters. Head in hands for Grant Kinningham. Hollywood, the defending champs, still trail.
Not about how fast you're running. Grant getting a little worried here, pushing in some patterns that he knows has worked in the past. But Largo doesn't worry about the past. He's right here in the present, watching you, deciding where you're going to go, and then there's that cut into the inside to get the tag by the sisters.
They go to Carson once again. Largo starting very close to Carson Palmer, and they're doing a little dance around the ridge. Carson Palmer hops up into the loading bay and gets the tag, and he really did just spring through that obstacle.
There's the dive, and there is the tag made in the open, up the back of the mountain. Largo sent walking, and that gives Carson Palmer at chase 11 now a chance to even the playing field for Hollywood Freerunners. They're going to need to start putting some points on the board, or Rooftop Kings will get their second win in the last 2 years against the undefeated Hollywood Freerunners.
That was interesting. Dan Van Dissel got on the chasers plate. They made a late change to put Koen-Ten Heggeler in instead. Why did they do that? Will it make a difference? Will it prove dividends? As Koen-Ten Heggeler races after Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer takes the high line. There's a stab at the foot, but he does not get there. Carson Palmer, oh, he's tracked him down, Koen-Ten Heggeler.
Carson's got that hesitation just on the front line there. Should have followed through to get a little bit of cover on the lazy boy. Obviously, the pressure is getting to Hollywood Freerunners. It's showing that the great giants in the world champions are just human and can make mistakes, same as anyone else. Koen doing real well there, especially as a swap out for Dan Van Dissel.
Kyle Soderman. Oh, wow. That was not going to plan, but he gets back up, he recovers, and he's had another fall there. Can he maintain his composure? He comes with a dive. That didn't make contact, apparently. It's not been given. Is he going to get another chance? Oh, my word! What has he done there?
And there we go, a penguin slide at the last second. At the same position, he missed the dive through the bars of the ridge. So he had a threaded dive attempt. That was missed, and then he's gone for a penguin slide afterwards. Crazy plays here today. Looking at that sprint and a miss across the sisters. Kyle recovering, coming through the center and deciding, yep, I'm going to go straight through for a dive there.
Well, Taha brought in once again to try and get hold of Kyle Soderman. They did this earlier. Kyle Soderman in a little dance, and he's got hold of Kyle Soderman again. He's landed on him. 2 thumbs up, but it is not a thumbs up situation for Hollywood Freerunners, because Rooftop Kings can win the world title here.
And there we go, Kai Baldwin. If you are in a position like this, you need to utilize your most dangerous weapon. But Taha seeming to have the answer for Kyle Soderman. Must have something in the tank here for Kai Baldwin.
Kai Baldwin, it's now or never. Can they retain their title? He follows him up high, he reaches over the tilted cube, and Kai Baldwin does do job one. But now they must do something they have not managed to do in this game, and produce an evasion. But if you ever wanted anybody to do it, it is the Australian Kai Baldwin.
I have never seen Hollywood in a position like this, Dan. They are on the back foot. This is going to be at crunch time, and Dan Van Dissel has finally been utilized by Rooftop Kings on the chaser plate.
A tag wins it and creates a huge shock. Can Rooftop Kings beat Hollywood for the second time? They're the only team to beat them since they became world champions. Can they do it in the World Championship final? Kai Baldwin dancing around. It's not enough. It is not enough. Dan Van Dissel wins it for Rooftop Kings. It is an astonishing result. There will be no retention of the world title for Hollywood. Rooftop Kings, kings of the rooftop, kings of World Chase Tag, and world champions.
What a result from the underdogs here to just squeak through the group stages, get into the semis, and then show what they are made of. Smashing out rivals in Fata Morgana, making it through to the final here, and then going up against the absolute kings of World Chase Tag, Hollywood Freerunners. These guys are rock stars. Everyone thought it couldn't be done, and the Rooftop Kings have only gone and done it. Absolutely undeniable. These are our new world champions of World Chase Tag. This is number 7 of the world, and they have taken the title. I can't imagine what is going through Red One, Lago, Dan Van Dissel to get it done on that last tag. Teha to be the answer for Kyle Soderman. Koen putting in some crazy moves and awesome shifts, and Bent Van Hoff to kick this whole thing off. What an amazing result for Rooftop Kings. The only team to have beaten Hollywood Freerunners in the last 2 years in a chase-off, and now they're showing that that was not a fluke. Red One getting very emotional here. Big hugs on the quad, and hopefully we're going to go to our correspondent, Greg Ball, on the quad to get an interview from the winning, new, reigning world champions, Rooftop Kings.
All right.
Who would have predicted that? I remember speaking to you just before the Eugen match, and you said how the odds were against you, yet you still defied them. How are you feeling right now, through the tears, my friend?
Alhamdulillah.
Let's go. And Dan, look at you as well, man. Tears all around. Bro, for your first ever World Chase Tag World Championships, that must be a big moment. How are you feeling?
Dude, I have literally no words, man. Dude, I just words. I'm so happy trained like 2 years from all the start back in Antwerp in 2023 until now, joining Rooftop Kings and coming from Karma in the Netherlands, having 2 quads. Well, yeah, that's a privilege.
That helps, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, man, listen to everyone screaming your name. It's Rooftop Kings who've knocked out Hollywood Freerunners off their top spot. What's next for you guys? Back next year for another one?
No, the next one is in Rotterdam.
Oh, I like it, I like it. Well, thank you guys very, very much. We'll see you next year.
The 5th team to win the World Chase Tag World Championship, and arguably the biggest shock we have ever seen at a World Championship. Even when your guys, Marrero Gang, the 3-time world champions, went out early, it was not like this. These guys, who had made 1 World Championship previously and been annihilated, they have grown and changed. They even started this tournament off with a sudden death defeat to Nimbus, and yet they have bounced back, snuck through the group stages by the weirdest of circumstances, but they had their chance and they took it. And the Dutch-based team, Rooftop Kings, have humbled the reigning champs, Hollywood Freerunner, in the final. Daan van Dissel, the Rookie of the Year, with 5 evasions in the tournament. Redwan Yagub, the tears are flowing as they celebrate becoming champions of the world for the very first time, and in extraordinary circumstances here in Les Arènes of Ricourt-Courant. The runners-up medals being handed to Kai Baldwin. 5 evasions for him. A standout performance in the semi-finals that helped see Hollywood through to the final, but they could not get the job done. And the tears of joy from Carl Soderman from 2 years ago when they won this title, it's just been replaced with disappointment. Carson Palmer gave it his all. Grant Kinningham's first ever appearance at a World Championship for Hollywood showcased some of his skills, but ultimately not quite enough to get past this Rooftop Kings team. Gabe Torres, the medal goes over his hat just about, and Amos Rendau, a winner of the Worlds with Apex, a winner of the Worlds with Hollywood, left frustrated in his campaign to try and make it 3 out of 3. Connor, a phenomenal campaign from them, but yet again, we have seen a surprise, and that's the biggest one we've ever seen, is it not?
Yes, what an upset we have seen here in Every. I have not seen a turnover like this all the way, like you say, back in the day, Marrero Gang, even though the Marrero Gangs had got 1, 2, and 3. I'd coached them through those 3 championships. Realistically, we had it come in. The Americans came and spanked our ass, and now we've got the Americans getting absolutely spanked by a European team here today to bring it back to Europe. Rotterdam have succeeded. They've built a community, they've got a quad, they've done the lessons, they have brought up a whole generation of people around them to make sure the events are going down, people are training the right thing at the right time, and it looks like they had studied Hollywood Freerunners very closely. By the looks of it, Teha had exactly what he needed in the tank to take on Kyle Soderman on his return, on his large departure from the sport. Kyle Soderman finally coming back to Worlds, having not been seen for a long time, looking great as ever, but Taha just managing to get his number and track him down for those tags. What a fantastic result here for Rooftop Kings. I couldn't be happier for them.
Yeah, incredible scenes. There are tears, there are hugs. They were beaten by Hollywood in the group stages. Koen ten Hegela, the first to receive his medal and ascend the mountain. Taha Wakudi, who played such a vital role in the final, tracking down Kyle Soderman. Redwan Yagub, the team captain, set to receive his medal.
Number 46,
Ben Van Hoff. They've all played their part in this one as they found a way out the group and found a way to victory. Largo, Liziano Ostiana, as you see, a slow trudge for Carl Soderman. Representing Hollywood, the defending champions, who by tradition dictating will hand over the trophy to the winning team. There is Red One, finally set to get his medal. A shake of the hand from Christian DeVoe. They are not the winners that many predicted, but they have earned it. Dan van Dissel's name getting announced, 5 evasions for him. A contender for Night of Flight. But this is the moment that Rooftop Kings dreamed of. Carl Soderman of Hollywood Freerunners passes the trophy to Redouane Yagu of Rooftop Kings. The African team based in the Netherlands, Redouane, at the top of the mountain. They are champions of the world. Rooftop Kings have come here and found a way to win it all against the best in the world. And they have won the biggest prize in the sport.
Ils sont présents chez nous aujourd'hui à Évry et soulèvent cette nouvelle édition des World Chase Tag World Champion Rooftop King. Et leur victoire gravée à jamais sur la starter plate.